What's that? All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Board of Selectmen. We had a couple of non-publics to start, and brings us to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and the board's apologies for running late to get the public hearing started. For a public hearing and testimony on comment of changing disposal fees at the transfer station, I recognize Interim Director Jason Fisk.
Those are just some of the current prices we have from NRA. Some information. It's basically the same thing on the front sheet here, just a little bit more in depth. Copies? I could use one for this paper. Okay, so we're not doing many changes. We are coming down in price on air conditioning units, propane tanks of assorted sizes, fire extinguishers. Our mercury devices are now going to be free of charge. There is a company that takes them. Still obviously have to be disposed of the correct way, but there's no charge to the taxpayer now. We are accepting acetylene, argon, and oxygen tanks now. We weren't doing that before, but through the NRA, we've opened up some new.
Any of your tanks now, we accept. We can take all of them. They're taking all of them. So what's happened is we had private companies before going in. Your electronics was coming out of Concord and stuff. Now the co-op has gone in with all of them. All the vendors basically are going through the co-op now, so our prices have dropped with everything. The mercury devices, they send us a box. They're shipped for nothing. They pay for the shipping. They pay everything. So same thing with the batteries.
And through a co-op, all these prices have been pretty well the same for the last 5 years or more.
Okay.
They've only varied maybe a few cents, so me and Frank are pretty confident that these prices will stay for a while.
I've talked to the private vendors even before I talked to the co-op, and that's how some of them I knew that they were going through the co-op, is they told me we're going in with the co-op now. This is what our prices were before. Companies that never heard of before are going in with the co-op. So I mean, for us to drop a 100-pound propane tank from $20 down to $10, I mean, that's a huge jump.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And taking acetylene and oxygen tanks too. That's a good
Fire
thing.
extinguishers and
Oxygen.
dry cell
the,
batteries.
Fire extinguishers is a big thing, they wouldn't take them at all.
The big one was the polypropylene for the blown-in insulation and stuff. Weren't able to take, we can take all of them now. And their pickup service, they came this week and had stuff that had been there. They took everything. They took everything. And they were real good about it.
Good.
Question?
What are the increases? Are there any increases?
No increases. No, everything has gone down.
So this is just reductions you're asking for?
Just reductions.
Okay.
Yeah, because our demo and all of that has, nothing else is going down. I mean,
Yeah, okay, it's more for, it's as much for the public as anything.
Truck tires,
Absolutely.
truck tires will.
truck, no,
Okay.
truck tire, well, actually, so your truck tires and stuff,
They're gonna go long.
that's another difference, is your backhoe tires, your, tractor trailer tires and stuff, they were $100 before for us to get rid of them.
Tractor trailer tires weren't. Unless that's recent.
What's that?
Tractor trailer tires weren't, unless that's very recent.
They were
No.
22.
What's that?
They were 22 before.
They were $100 is what we were paying.
That must be a recent thing.
Huh?
Yes,
That must be a
it's
recent-
very
Maybe,
recent.
maybe, because they dropped it when, I had talked to them about it, out of Maine, and, they dropped it to $65,
Oh, BDS?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No, had they still been paying revenue for 20-pounders? Used to only be like 50 cents anyway, but they stopped doing that, I think.
They stopped doing that.
Grass, yeah. Yeah, right.
So the other thing, I know he has paper and stuff on here. We are still paying for the paper trailer. There is no money in it right now.
No,
I mean, we're paying 20 a ton, but it's still better than the 85 a ton for the trash.
Municipal trash, yeah. And paper's heavy,
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
so, okay.
I guess, sorry.
Yeah,
I
go
did-
ahead.
So, because we're gonna be talking about this flyer later.
Later.
But just since you're standing here, so on the website at least, it talked about used oils and battery.
We're gonna table that because this is not that's not part of the public hearing.
Okay. I was
so-
just asking about, because it's not on this list.
Right, because we take it for free. There's no cost. No cost associated with any of those.
No cost for.
Yeah, that was my
used-
question.
Yeah,
Right,
no
no
cost
cost,
for used oil,
Yeah. No.
your scrap metals.
Because you mentioned
none of that.
batteries are.
Batteries, there's no
set
charge for
dry
them.
cell.
Dry cell, though.
What's that?
Dry cell.
Dry cell batteries, it's $1 a pound.
Okay, because that's not on here.
Otherwise, your other batteries, so that's my fault for not telling him, dry cell batteries are $1 a pound. Everything else is free, because we get paid for the other batteries.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what I was trying to reconcile.
Okay.
So, how can we correct that?
Can write it right on there.
Yeah, it just have to be on here under
Yeah.
8, I guess. Yeah. 8 would be dry cell batteries,
Can I ask you a
$1
question?
a pound. Yep.
So the last time we were here, and we opted to schedule for a public hearing on 5/15, we were going off a sheet that you provided us.
Yeah,
The numbers have now changed.
gone down, yes,
No,
because what's
tractor-
happened,
Tractor tire, backhoe tires, you provided me at $60, and now you're at 65.
yeah, because,
So what I posted is what I'm getting at is this.
yeah.
Because this is what we told people we were gonna talk about. And this is
Okay.
different.
so it's just the one tire.
I'm just trying to understand, because this was posted, this is now what we're handing out. So
So,
what are we talking about tonight,
so
basically?
what's happened for us
Okay,
is, as of recently, within the last 2 weeks, the co-ops has gone in with the electronics company, and all of them, they are combining themselves with all of our vendors. So now our prices, that's why our prices have changed. The only thing that has gone, I take that back, the only thing that has gone up is that one tire, has gone up $5. Everything else has gone down.
Yeah.
You were paying $3 for a 20-pounder, you're gonna pay $2 for a 20-pounder now.
and the only other thing, you've got Freon excavation, we were at 8, I'm sorry, we were at 12.
You're at 12, that went
Your
down to 10.
Your proposal at the day you came in was 8, and now it's at 10.
Yeah.
I just wanna be correct.
Right, and,
Yeah.
and the other thing too is wood is 40 on this, it was 35 on this, and now it's 110 for asphalt, it was 85 here.
Right.
So that's my fault, because that must be an old list, because you have already approved the 110 was already approved
Okay,
before.
okay.
The 110 was already approved for the shingles, your shingles and your sheet rock.
All right. Okay. Just want to make sure we're all talking about the same, that's all.
Yeah, no, I have the handwritten one that Frank had provided us,
Okay.
and it had these on the
Yeah.
bottom.
And for that, I'm sorry, like I said, the co-op just got back to us, like I said, they're in with everybody now.
Okay.
So it really is for the most part, a one-call pickup.
For electronics, you used to get paid for certain things,
We still do.
so they still
We-
will
We still
through the
will.
co-op?
It hasn't changed, it hasn't changed any of that as far as us getting paid for it and stuff. It's just, you call the co-op now instead of calling Concord.
Yep.
And it's picked up. It's still the same company.
Okay. Any other questions?
By co-op, you mean an RA?
And
NRA.
I call it, sorry, I call it co-op. That's right,
And,
NRA.
yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other board questions? Open it to the public. Right.
Frank Campana. I certainly understand that the disposal fees are what the town pays to get rid of them. So my question is, what is now the board's process for keeping track of, how much money comes in and how much money for any of the items? How much money comes in and how much money goes, is actually paid? And when does the board review that? Is it tracked monthly by the, from upstairs? And does the board have a schedule to have a presentation and review how things, how the transfer of money is going?
Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we usually get that about quarterly, right?
Yeah.
We get the report quarterly.
Okay.
And it's at the cash register, when they put it in, there's different codes that they put in the cash register for tires, for demo, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then that ticker tape then goes to Beth, and Beth can put it in
Beth monitors
to see exactly what was taken in for what was charged for product, and then obviously when the big haul goes out, it comes back and gets
Okay,
applied back.
so my second part of that is, when does the board periodically review that? Get a presentation from the finance person to review to see?
We get statement emailed quarterly.
Pardon me?
We get a statement emailed quarterly,
Okay. Okay, thanks.
give or take, quarterly,
That's fine.
so. Anyone else?
Is that report available to the public? And I indicate myself?
I don't see why it wouldn't be.
So if I call the finance administrator, she would able to respond to me?
Yeah, and give us the report that we got last time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if it was in between type thing.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
There are some major changes made last year in terms of bulk items. They're now being put into household trash. Does anybody have a sense as,
Bulk items are going in the demo.
demo trail, I'm
Yep.
sorry. Does anybody have a sense as to how well that's going? How much money we're saving from trash versus the amount of money that we're receiving in the demo trailer? Is that balancing out? Because one of the issues has always been over the years is how accurate is the amount, what's going into the demo trailer, because we don't have scale, so it's
Correct.
kind of an estimate. So are you looking at that, and if you are, then how does that look?
Yeah. So that is recorded, and it's a flat fee. It's not by weight on the bulky items. That makes sense? It's not weight on those. Because you could theoretically put those on the scale we have, but it's a flat fee.
There's a weight I mean, we're charged by weight, right?
Correct. When
For
we- when we-
everything but mattresses.
Right, when we tip, right, yeah.
So I'm just wondering, how does that balance out?
I mean,
So I can kind of
yeah,
help, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, I think, I was gonna lean to
So
you on
that,
this.
so when the demo trailer goes off, obviously it pulls in and we pay per ton to dispose of the demo, okay? The
Yeah.
way that has worked out is, and as the pricing is in this revolving account, and Beth, you correct me if I'm wrong, but that is an account that we're not supposed to balance at the end of the year, okay? We're not supposed to be a for-profit company. So, and that has been the case. What it has done, and the upside to this whole thing, is, again, Beth, correct me, and this is a very round number, but close enough, I'd say probably within 5 to 6%, is we sent almost 500 ton less to the incinerator. As it's stated, it's $85 a ton for us at the incinerator, but we have trucking on top of that, so using a rough number of $100 per ton for the trucking, okay, now that is an estimate, so don't quote me on it, but close enough for conversation. We have a net savings of about $50,000 last year,
That was not for a full year, is that right?
and that's correct,
So,
to the taxpayers. And we've seen a significant, and most of that, by the way, is because once we instituted the fee structure, the number of bulky pieces of furniture and mattresses has greatly reduced.
right. So, just to follow up those impressive figures. This is it's an item, line item in the operating budget, is it not? The cost for disposing of trash.
Correct, it is, of course.
Was that number reduced as a result of what happened last year?
I can't honestly tell you. I know we're in excess, and it's a number we're trying to continue to reduce, because the transfer station budget is like,
I don't know if it got changed or not. I prepared the first one, and I hadn't, because we hadn't got a full year out of it.
Right.
I'd guessed out of my hat was gonna be about 400 ton, and everyone else told me I was crazy, it's gonna be about 100. So I'm glad to hear that it was, I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah.
But so unless it got changed, I hadn't for that reason, because we'd only had like, I don't remember.
yeah,
6 months
and I couldn't honestly tell you where it is.
But the
except-
anticipation would be that it would be if that continues down that path. I would
Well,
think.
that's probably the most significant change that's happened at the transfer station for the entire year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Forget about the clear plastic bags and all this other stuff.
It was a big
The
deal.
fact that you're able, the prior director was able to do that, direct savings to the town. Maybe it didn't show up in the
You might
budget,
wanna give me the-
budget that,
That was a collaborative effort
between whom?
between us two.
Okay. So hopefully it's gonna show up next year and there'll be an excess in that line.
Hope so.
Yeah.
So,
Anyone else? Okay, being none, we'll close the public hearing. All right, does any board member see why we should not adopt this the way it's written?
Oh, I think it's great. I'm
yeah,
hair nervous they're gonna get everybody on their side and up the prices, but we don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know that, right, so, but, yeah, all right.
Not as written, but the
As-
amended to
As
dry cell
amended,
batteries.
okay,
Amended.
all right, as amended, yeah, okay,
No, I'm good, yeah.
all right. So,
I'm
I'll
nervous.
entertain them.
I'll second it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Wait a minute, you good?
Hey, hold on,
I can't-
all right, so Sherry's gonna make the motion,
To accept the
fee
new
structure.
fee schedule with the amended for the dry cell batteries.
So a line 8, dry cell
Line 8.
batteries, $1 per pound,
Yep,
Was that per pound or per battery?
per
Per
pound,
pound.
That's per pound.
okay.
So what that is that basically is your solar panel batteries.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppo-
Amended
oh.
to just the dry cell, or you're gonna change, because remember, we posted a different number.
what was the other one, the $65 tire?
For tires and for the Freon.
Right.
Just wanted to
No,
correct.
this is,
We posted $60 for tires.
Right.
Now it's 65.
but this is what we're
This is
we're
what's
talking
been
about.
on the website and advertised.
Understood, understood,
Days ahead.
understood.
I'm just trying to figure out your motion.
This is what was presented tonight,
What was presented
this one,
tonight.
right. Am I correct in saying that? Okay, okay. Any other discussion? Moving second, any discussion? All those in favor? Yes? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. All right. We've got 2 minutes. Get the other one. In 2 minutes, I think I can probably read off the manifest. Alright.
Three signatures?
Yes.
please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Gonna order the treasurer sign payroll and accounts payables checks dated May 18th, 2023, as including the following manifest. Payroll manifest of $71,968.95 weekly payroll, and accounts payable manifest of $142,204.51. Weare School District, $400,000, John Stark, $250,000, for a total of $864,173.46. Is there a second?
Second.
Move and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. That's a minute closer. I just gotta find my schedule. There we go. We're trying to fold together. Kind of, okay. $7:30. All right, we've reached our second public hearing to hear public testimony and comment on the proposed change to the Chase Park fee schedule. Recognize Lisa.
She may go make copies. Did you just ask her to go make copies?
I'm sorry?
Did you have Beth go make copies?
How many do you need? Do you need more?
No, I just didn't know if she went to make copies, because I had
No,
already
I
made.
didn't ask her to. All right, so it's gonna go through these? All right. Okay, so, my name is Lisa, Crolian, and I am the Parks and Rec Coordinator. And I thought Denise was gonna speak tonight, so she just said no, you're good. So we are looking forward to being able to have, a revolving account for Chase Park, and we've looked at the numbers. And as a commission have come to some ideas for changing that we wanted to get approved. So I don't know if does everybody else have a fee schedule?
I don't have
Have you got an
mine.
extra one there,
There's
Lisa?
lots of extra.
Thank you.
I don't think I have my other one.
So we made some adjustments in both directions, some increases and some decreases from last year. Or from the last couple of years.
Can we touch upon those?
Yes, I will do my best. Seasons passes have been $10 for ever since I can remember, and I'm a lifelong resident. We're asking to increase that to $20 per car per season. For the first car, and $5 for an additional car for the season. That's up, so $10 for the first car, and then it's up $3 for the second car, and a lot of that is because the stickers themselves cost more than $1 a piece. So we're looking to recoup some of our sticker money. It has been $5 per car for daily, so if you wanted to come in just like twice a year, $5, and we're leaving that the same. The boat ramp, $30 per jet ski boat for the season. I think we have, this is our current, so we're looking for an up that for $10, Denise, if I've got that right? I'm looking at your tiny printing. Okay, and seniors, 60 plus, we have one free car pass, which we're leaving. And then we have a $5 each additional car for the season, which is an increase of $3, because it was $2, just like the other passes. $15 for the first boat and jet ski for the season, and $30 for additional boats and jet skis. So it used to be, I think, a free boat. And then, I'm not sure, because I can't read the handwriting on this, I'm so sorry. Is that, it's
I
up
have
10?
an edit.
Yeah.
It went
I
from
have it
20 for
from
additional to
20
30.
10 to 30, yep, so a $10 increase. And we discussed that there are a few seniors who, have multiple boats. So we figured they have multiple boats, $10 each extra. And then we had our parking access. It was, for non-residents, it was $40 per car. And we've what did we put that to, Denise? I'm sorry, I don't see them. Now we've changed it to $5 per person. So that if we have a car that comes in with just 2 people, they're just paying $5 per person.
Okay.
And we've got reasons for all of this. I don't know if you want me to go into it or not, but like we have an older couple from the next town over that likes
Yeah.
to come over, and it was just really, it was too much for them, to pay that much per day. Boat ramp access for non-residents, $50 per boat, we're keeping that the same. And we did say non-resident walk-ins are not allowed. That's it.
And combined veterans with seniors. It used to be separate.
Yes, seniors and veterans are the same rates instead of separate rates.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
So on the other one, it says visitors shall be denied entry when the park is at capacity. It's not on the current one. So what do you do when the park's at capacity?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that wasn't on there, and we would have to deny entry because we can't have them parking along the road. So we can add that.
And then there was a comment made by Chief Moore about holiday weekends and maybe increasing your fees due to the amount of time they end up spending. Was that talked about?
Yes, we did discuss that, and I think we decided not to
Okay.
make any changes.
So you wanting to add the visitors shall be denied underneath stickers like it always was?
Yes, if it's full. I think we might have taken that out because we took out some of the other COVID policies that were on there still hanging around. But yeah, that should be on there.
What Salem has here is visitors shall be denied entry when park is at 50%
Yeah, that was
capacity.
the
Yeah,
COVID
so
wording.
we want it to be at 100%, when it's at 100%.
Right.
So if there's no
Right.
parking left,
Right, so
then,
should be then, visitors
Just
shall
at
be
capacity.
denied, pending parking.
yes, pending parking.
What do you want to call it?
I guess, if the board's okay with that.
I mean, if we're allowing walk-ins, I don't know if we should say parking. I would just go back to the old wording. Visitors shall be denied entry when park is at capacity.
Yeah,
Works for me,
sounds good.
works for me. Yeah, okay. Okay. Anybody else have any other comments or questions? On the board?
We spent a lot of time on it, and I think really hammered out these numbers.
Okay. Salem's our ex officio
Yes.
park, so, but,
I
okay,
know, we've been trying to be gentle with them.
please do. So, all right, I will hear any public comment.
Let's see. So, fees for residents have increased, and fees for non-residents have decreased. An example for the non-residents, in terms of the amount of decrease. If you have one non-resident drive in, it's $5. It used to be $40 for that one person to drive in. I'll go on for a few more. 2 non-residents, it's gonna cost $10. Used to be $40. That's a reduction of the first one person, $35, a reduction of $30, so on and so forth, until you get to 8 squeezed in one car, and that's a break even. That's $40, and it used to cost $40. Yeah, I'm getting concerned that I didn't really hear a good explanation as to why this is being done. And it almost looks like it's being done to generate more revenue at the expense of the residents. A couple of years ago, there was a public hearing held for fee changes at Chase Park. And I'm going to read from that. The chairman of Park and Rec stated, started by explaining residents support Chase Park with their tax dollars and by paying a parking fee. However, they are often turned away from entering the park because it quickly fills to capacity with non-residents. For example, this past Sunday, she continues, when staff arrived 30 minutes prior to opening, there were 15 cars in line already, 10 of which were non-residents. She feels that raising their fee, I'm not sure what it was raised from, but raised to $40, the park will no longer be the least expensive option in regards to all the other surrounding parks. Their hope is this would encourage the use of state parks rather than non-residents coming to Chase Park, they go to other locations. So the intent here was to kind of, through a fee or a surcharge, however you want to call it, to defer people from coming to, non-residents to come from Chase Park because it was interfering with residents, according to the information that's here. Chairman Meany at the time asked if there's a history of non-residents increasing over the year, and the statement from the chairman was, Chairman of Park and Rec, it does increase a little bit more every year, especially when Glen Lake closed to residents a couple of years ago. So my primary concern here is that we're decreasing the fees for non-residents. Why are we doing that? To me, that park should be, obviously the taxpayers in this town support it through their operating budget. You know, it should be primarily for residents in this park, primarily. In my mind, it should be exclusive. I don't know about the deed, how the deed was written, or whatever. I don't even know if we have a written legal opinion of that, but, you know, we're paying the freight for that, through the operating budget. And the significant change that happened this year was that on the warrant, all that revenue that was coming in through fees was going into the general fund as an offset, indirect offset to the operation of that facility. And we're not getting any of that anymore. So, you know, the voters approved that, so all the revenue coming in from fees are going into a special revolving fund for use by Chase Park, by Park and Rec, to be approved by the Board of Selectmen. So we're losing that revenue, and now they're increasing the fees for the residents. I don't like that. To me, that's kind of, in my mind, a slap in the face. Why are we increasing the fees for residents? What has happened? Previously, you could tie an increase in fees to an additional cost of providing the service. An example, a couple of years ago, I think in 2020, the cost for the gatekeepers was $24,000. Now it's $36,000. That would justify an increase in fees to cover that additional cost. But that's gone out the window because that revenue is going somewhere else. So to justify an increase in fees is something that you basically are regulators to determine whether or not that should be done. If it's being done to generate revenue, that's the wrong reason. To me, residents should be able to get in there for free. Because we're paying the bill. There's no offset anymore. Why are we penalizing the residents, the taxpayers in this town, by increasing the fees? I don't know, have you heard, or can any, well, you're
Yeah, I can speak to it a bit. So a fair amount of the discussion was, how do we keep residents ahead of non-residents? And so what year was the statement you read from about non-residents increasing significantly? Do you know what year that statement was?
The statement from the prior, 2
Yes.
years ago?
Yes. You said 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So-
The last set of rate increases were.
Whenever this was adopted.
Sure. So my point is, some of this is supposed to be a correction. That was a significant jump, and this is a bit of a return.
But you understand the reason why that jump was put in place.
Yes, but now we've gone and we have the data that,
I have some data that I can share.
yeah, non-residents has gone to almost zero, which
Fine.
except the costs have not gone to zero. There's, the biggest cost we're looking at in the future is that boat ramp. Needs significant work.
But who's paying for that?
Well, that, potentially the park revolving fund that you're discussing. Yeah, you pay to use it, and then that money goes right back into
So are you
fixing
telling me
it.
now that the fees that are established at Chase Park are gonna be based on a project that's needed 2 years from now? Or 3 years from now? Is that how it's being determined?
I mean, potentially, it's, I would appreciate a clarification why you think that's unreasonable.
Well, I think it's unreasonable for that facility to be set up, not for the residents of this town.
Okay.
You know, whatever the
But-
revenue that comes in that's what it is. If it's $5,000 or $15,000. If you are now opening it up to non-residents to increase the revenue, which it sounds like you are doing, to how much are we anticipating getting?
And that-
And what is the impact on the residents?
So the intent, and we did discuss being able to adjust this mid-season if we find that residents are impacted with an overflow of non-residents. That's,
How are you gonna determine that?
we have people that work there, that, we have people that are there every single day.
Okay, so you're gonna let that play out rather than initially take action to really have that facility set up for the residents of this town? You know, I don't understand. Whatever you get for revenue is what you get. You know, if you're now manipulating fees to increase the revenue so you can do something at some point in time, how much revenue are you gonna have you ever figured this out? Has it been planned out over 5 years? I don't wanna belabor the point. But are you looking at $5,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, over what period of time? Have you done that? I don't think, I haven't
Yes,
heard it.
we have. And I'm not sure how to interject properly.
I have some
Yeah,
data.
if Denise wants to come up and-
If you want, to answer some of his questions.
Oh, sure.
I'm Denise Purington, Parks and Rec Commission. And part of, so we, with the help of the finance folks, we've put together numbers. And I think I shared them with you when we were here to talk about the revolving fund at the budget time. But the decreases in volume at Chase Park over the last 5 years is significant. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Total annual volume in 2017 was 2,111 individuals that visited the park, or cars. Last year, that number dropped to 705. So we're more than half the volume has dropped. As far as non-resident cars, in 2017, we had 715 non-resident cars. Last year, we had 35. That's it. So one of the things that we've been looking at is how did the price increases drive down volume? Because one of the things that we feel as a commission is important, we staff the park as if it was full. We have lifeguards, we have people at the gates. And so when you have two visitors to the park, and you have 4 staff people, it doesn't make any sense. And so one of the correlating pieces that we found is that when we increased the prices for out of town, the volume dropped way off. And even our resident volumes have dropped off. And yes, some of the revenue comes in, it was offsetting, but it was not offsetting what we're paying for salaries. And we have no money to make improvements to the park. Because the fees went back to the general fund, we couldn't purchase a picnic table that was broken. We don't have the money to fix the bathrooms, the sheds. So part of the discussion, it's not to make revenue. It's to be able to start to make improvements to the park and have the money to do that and be able to use the fees to do that. Now, it's possible by dropping the non-resident fees that the volumes will go way up. And that's why, as it was mentioned, we're going to monitor it throughout the year. But we're so far down, I think 2 days, the entire season last year, and both were holidays, that we were at capacity. Other than that, we weren't even at 50%.
So that's part of the reason why we've adjusted the non-resident. And then we looked at surrounding towns and communities that have lakes like we do, and what are their fee structures, and trying to align with what other towns are doing. And yes, we are looking at increasing some of the fees because we need a new boat ramp, we need more picnic tables, we need to fix buildings, and we don't have the money to do that. That's why we set up the revolving account, so we can start to fix Bolton Park and Chase Park and all the other parks that are crumbling around us, unless we start to look at some changes in our fee structures. And we're still reasonable and in line with what other parks are doing. So I don't know if that helps, but definitely the volumes have significantly gone down. And I believe that Selectmen had asked, when I presented, if we would look at and address the increase in fees that we made to out-of-town residents in the drop-off in volume. So that was one of the reasons we did talk about that.
Thank you.
Does that help your, no?
Basic question, is there a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan? I didn't hear that. All I heard was talking about fees and reduction in revenue coming in over the year. You know, as far as I'm concerned, that facility, again, is for town residents. 2 years ago,
Oh, and
they- 2 years ago, they set it up so that we're gonna try and dissuade people, non-residents, from coming in town. Now, as a result of that, revenue dropped off. But now that you're keeping the revenue, this becomes an issue. When that money was going into the general fund to help offset the operational costs, not 100%, but it was offsetting the operational costs, nothing was said. Actually, what was done was to reduce the revenue by making it so difficult for non-residents to use to use the facility. But now that you've got the revenue, you want to increase the fees to support whatever over a period of time. You know, that's the danger in my mind with using fees as a way to support these other items, as opposed to establishing a capital reserve fund that are funded by the voters on the warrant. You now have a kind of a blank check. I know you're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, but that number can be manipulated through fee structures, through fees, only to support a project. And it will never go down, probably. And I don't know what the projects are next year. I don't know what they are. I heard the boat ramp. I don't know what the cost associated with that is. 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years, 5 years, or whatever. This is a long-range situation. Should be a long-range plan in place to know whether or not the fee structure that you have now, based on analyzing what the actual fees were this year, if you approve this, and you likely will, what are we gonna be able to do? And do we need to increase the fees next year because we got this other thing we want to do? So, I mean, to me, it's not well thought out over 5 or 6 or 7 years. It's a capital improvements plan, and I don't see the capital improvements plan. All I hear is we want to increase revenues. And, you know, revenues have dropped off because of the things we've done in the past. The things that we've done in the past were to make it more convenient for the residents of this town to use the facility without bumping up against non-residents, which I know is an issue. Thanks.
Hey, Dick. Tom?
I think as you compare the drop-off, you have to take the whole COVID thing into account too. Because you're talking about a period, even now, there's a residual effect from COVID as far as people attending places that are crowded. So if you're talking 2017 and then there's a drop-off in the last few years, that could be one of the reasons. It has nothing to do with the cost. So take it for what it's worth, just an opinion. The other thing, I believe that Parks and Rec is often shortchanged in the budgeting process. Physical fitness, health, it all ties in with recreation. And I don't think it's been enough of a priority. I think that it's a responsibility to the town to spend money. Towns and cities have recreation departments that are a major part of their budgets. And I think that I'm not accusing anybody individual, but I just think that that's kind of a set philosophy that's kind of been on the back burner, and it has to be moved to the front a little bit more in order to finance a healthy recreation department, so, for what it's worth.
Thank you, Tom.
Nick Foxy, sure. I agree with the comments. Blows my mind that you guys jacked up the rate on us. I agree, it should be free. This is ridiculous. The people that I see that are abusing the lake are people that are from out of town, people that are doing trash, or people from out of town, people that are loud, or people from out of town. I could see this being fixed pretty quickly if we jack up that out-of-town rate. So I do not know why you guys increase this for residents. That makes no sense at all. As far as needing money for the park, do you guys have any ideas how many houses are on the lake? Ballpark?
No.
Well, everybody's taxes of houses on the lake doubled. There's your revenue. Where the heck did that money go? Doubled. Doubled. I pay 10 more grand a year. That would give residents free for the entire season. Just my house. This shouldn't even be a question, guys. Town should not be looking to make money, not be looking for revenue. Instead of saving, helping, encouraging, not constantly putting your thumb down on us to see how we can make more money. I don't know why the budget is the way it is if we're getting double the revenue from all those homes, which I'd be happy to give you a number next time. Hundreds of thousands of dollars is now what you're getting from the lake. That would pay for the ramp 30 times over. And that just happened 2 years ago. So where's that money going? There should be no increase, it should be free.
Frank Campana, my comments are going to be somewhat based on what I've heard a couple of other people say here before me. But I'll tell you, one person said, and stole my thunder, unfortunately, but you were given numbers of, people attending the park during pretty much the height of COVID, okay? So those numbers are probably erroneous at best, all right? So I think it's unfair to throw those out, to use that comparison. Another person said, well, the Parks and Rec has been shortchanged through the budgeting process. So, okay, so now the request is, let's do an end run, the request from the people requesting it. Let's do an end run around the taxpayers in the budgeting process and institute fees. All right? I know for myself personally, I don't use the lake anymore, and I don't have a problem. I didn't come as prepared as another person did, but, if you guys are going to institute and be presented with fee increases based on the backs of the residents, then zero out the budget for the Parks and Rec. All right? Now they got all the revenue. That's easy to do. I read article out of article, and I'm trusting from memory, which is not all that good, but the golf course in Concord, Beaver Meadow, I think it's Beaver Meadow, that's supported by the city, all right? And often, they want to build a new clubhouse. Well, they're going to institute, increase fees to pay for that. That's an end run, and I don't like it. If the budget is shortchanged for the Parks and Rec, they certainly have the CIP. that they can, present articles. They haven't been too successful. And they certainly have, the means of increasing their budgets and with plans behind it. But I'll tell you, I'll be very honest with you. The fees are tied to a pickleball court. Make no mistake. So you've got to think twice about fees and basing it on the backs of the taxpayers. Thank you.
I just want to clarify a couple things again. The statement about COVID numbers. In last year, 2022, the number of non-resident cars, 35,
All right.
okay? The non-resident boats, 22. So, this is post-COVID here. The numbers are not going back up. They're going down. The resident season passes, 2022, 263 resident passes. So we're not even near capacity. I also want to mention revenue. So our revenue last year, we had the Chase Park receipts was just shy of $10,000 total for the whole year. The boat fees were $6,000 total for the whole year. We just met last week. We've lost, just to give you a sense, when I hear folks stand up and talk about zeroing out our budgets, we have a broken pump at one of the fields that irrigates the baseball and soccer fields. It's going to be between $7,000 and $15,000 to replace that pump. The broken gates at the park due to plowing and all of that is going to be well over $5,000. So we're not, we pretty much in one meeting have expenses that have maxed out our budget for the year. We can't even yet address things at Chase Park like the boat ramp, like the 5 picnic tables that are unsafe to sit at, the trees floating in the water, stairs that are crumbling that are a safety risk. So we're not talking $100,000 here. We'll be lucky if that revolving account even gets $15,000 in revenue this year. And we won't be able to use that money. That money will not cover anywhere near what we're facing. And you talk about capital improvement plans. I did a whole picture inventory of every park we are responsible for and every broken piece of equipment. And the problem is that every year something else breaks, like the gates that broke over plowing. We just lost a slide at Fulton. We either shut the slide down or we fix it. And the fix is not cheap. We're talking $1,500 for one section of a slide. So when we talk about these revenues in our revolving account, we're not talking a lot of money here. And our volumes at Chase Park are not going down because of COVID. They're just going down, period. In the park, if we don't keep up with the picnic tables and safety, who wants to come there? And if our residents aren't filling the park, why not? If you look at the way the Chase Park lease, that's a leased park to the town. It was not to be exclusive for Weare residents. So if we have capacity, why not make it attractive for other people to come in and use it? And to at least help to maximize what we can do to keep up with what we need to fix. So I think as part of the commission, we're just asking to do the same thing that other towns around us are doing. We're not, I don't think these fees are unreasonable to use the park for $20 for the entire year, as many times as you want, as many people in your car as you want. It's not an outrageous fee. So that's kind of where we're coming from when we talk about it.
Thank you.
And that does remind me, one other thing we discussed in the Parks and Rec meeting was one of the changes to moving it to be, one of the reasons we switched non-resident to be per person instead of per car is that we had an issue with a car would come in, they'd pay one time, and they would bring an entire car full of people. They would go out, get an entire car full of people, bring them in, and they would do this repeatedly. And they'd pay the $40 one time. So this is meant to address that problem of filling it up with individual non-residents.
Yeah, and we have a $5, we have a count that we now put on, we have a little sticker we put on their dash, so that we're trying to take care of that problem.
And explicitly saying no reentry, so.
It sounds like just a, procedural issue that needs to get addressed. It doesn't make sense to allow that to happen, right?
And, well, but you're asking 15-year-olds to do that. It's,
To do what?
to tell somebody bringing carfuls of people in, hey, you gotta quit doing this. So, yes, I agree, okay.
I mean, it's either $40 or $5 per person, right? So if they have a carload of people, it's gonna be $5 per person.
Right, but
Right.
the point is, you used to be able to get one car in, and it was not one car full of people, it was multiple carfuls with that one car. Okay.
Minor, I think that's a minor point. Yeah, when you look at this over, I've been a volunteer on numbers of boards, and we all have a responsibility within those committees. And it's in some cases, it's thankless work. You put a lot of time in, you don't get paid for it, because it's something you're interested in or whatever. So no disrespect to any of the volunteers that are doing it. I think more to me, it's from the board standpoint and the way things are structured. There should be capital reserve funds, and not just for capital projects. There are capital reserve funds for maintenance. And this year on the warrant, the board offset a lot of the articles, very expensive articles. There are times that you should start a capital reserve fund for Park and Rec for maintenance. I know there are issues there, and their operating budget certainly doesn't, there's not enough money in there to cover those issues. It should be, just like we have a government building and maintenance fund. Maybe some of these things even fall under that umbrella, I don't know. But there should be a fund set up for maintenance, and it should be maybe at least initially started by the Board of Selectmen using undesignated fund balance. Put 20 grand in there. That's gonna be a pocket full of gold for Park and Rec to have $20,000 to expend on some of these issues. My point, it shouldn't be through fees, though. That's the thing that bothers me. It shouldn't be through fees. It's arbitrary. And it's arbitrary based on what your need is next year or the year or whatever. And the capital reserve fund is there. It's fluid. There's a certain amount put into that fund, and normally that would get capped. Not more than $20,000 a year, maybe not more than 40,000. If it drops down from 50, which is what you agreed to, down to 40 next year, maybe put an article on the warrant to add 10,000 to it. And maybe you offset it through unreserved fund balance. Yeah, and the boards and committees, volunteers, do get a little short shifted, in my opinion, by the board. And something like this, some guidance by the board to help maybe establish some of these funds and even identify some of the major projects that need to be done and start putting money away for those projects and help with the board kickstarting it by using unreserved fund balance. But philosophically, using fees to do that is not correct. It's not. To me, the person that's paying an extra $5 or whatever, of the veterans that are paying extra money, or the seniors that are paying extra money, okay, the gatekeeper's got to tell them that too, right? And that's not going to be pleasant, I'm sure. Whether it's a $5 increase or $10 increase, it's an increase. And they're paying their property taxes, and I'm sure they're not going to take it lightly, unfortunately. So, there's other ways around this issue. Operating budget's got to be separate from capital expenses. It's got to be separate from maintenance. There are funds that can be established and set up in order to support that. And I would urge you to do that because, I'm sure Park and Rec, they don't want to have to come in here and talk about fee increases, but they recognize they have a responsibility to maintain the facility. And there's no money available for them to maintain the facility, so they look at this, and this is set up as a way to do that. Fine. When you start increasing fees in order to support that, that in my mind becomes a problem.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Okay, again, Does any board member want to speak to any of the comments we've had tonight?
Yes, I'll repeat, we had a lot of this same discussion at the park meeting that preceded the presentation to the board, I don't know, a month or so ago. And what we talked about at the time, I'll just reiterate, was keep very close eye on this. I know it could be perceived as lip service. That is not our intent at all. There are people there all the time. I intend to be there very often with my family. The intent is to make sure that residents get priority. But it's tough to pay for something that's sitting vacant.
Anybody else?
I'd like to see this completely reviewed in July, end of July, to see what we've taken in, how many cars have come in, how many trucks have come in, or whatever, boats, whatever, and then see where you are, because if you're not getting any more non-residents in, or you're maintaining your residents, you need to know that right away.
So can we sort out what data will be important to start tracking, and then we'll make sure we start doing that from day one. So number of cars, number of boats, residents, non-residents.
I
Right.
think the data that Denise presented, I think, is what is solid data to make those decisions.
I think the biggest, short of should we charge residents, not charge them at all, I think the biggest problem would be is their full capacity and residents got turned away, right?
That was
So it'd
the
be how
deal a
many
couple
da-
years ago.
How many days are they full capacity?
Yeah.
And then we can reevaluate, because I don't use it, my kids are big now, and, you know, I'm not there, all I can do is go by the data of the people who work there, right? I do remember it was a huge discussion why they upped the out-of-town,
Initially,
you know, non-residents, because that's what all the other lakes are doing, it was the intent. But
it was more in line with the state park.
State park.
if there's
Clock.
room there, I don't have a problem charging the non-residents can use it, as long as none of the residents get turned away. So for me, I guess it'd be how many days are they full capacity and people are being turned away?
And what the makeup is, right? Resident versus
I guess.
non-resident.
Know whether
Yeah.
it's,
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, because I think people get turned away, it'd be hard to get that number, I don't know if they calculate
Right.
that, but
But-
you're gonna assume at full capacity that people are being turned away.
But whoever's in the park already at full capacity too, right? So,
I don't have last year's schedule, so I don't know how much each one went up. She talked about it, we talked about it a lot just now, so.
that's your one. Kevin, do you have any comment?
No, except it's all over the place. It's getting harder and harder to get the kids out the door these days.
Yeah.
So there's less and less people out and about. So I can see how the numbers are dwindling.
Right. Right, and I would agree with Sherry, obviously, you know, have a review mid-season, if that's what you wanna call it, mid-season, I guess. I think it's a drastic swing myself.
It's amazing.
You know, from what was in place to current, I think it's a major swing. So I just wanna make sure it's gonna work. That's my only comment.
I kinda wish the seniors hadn't have gone up, but I guess a couple months will tell if it,
What it's
I don't
doing.
wanna turn any residents, that's for sure.
No.
So charge the heck out of the non-residents, that's fine.
Well, that's kinda what, last time we did, so.
That only works if they show up, though.
No, I understand that. That's why you decreased it a little bit. when people show up, right?
Alright.
So we'll have our July park meeting where we will get the data together, and then I'll present it at our next board meeting following the July park meeting.
Okay, that works. Any questions from the board? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the modifications to the Chase Park parking and boating fees for 2023 as presented.
No, you need to add no entries when park is
Yep,
at
thank you.
capacity.
As amended, yeah.
As amended,
amended.
to include no entry when,
It was on the old one.
visitors shall be denied entry when park is at capacity.
Right, you were gonna add that.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yes?
I'm gonna abstain. thank you. All right, brings us to department head committee items.
Yeah, Beth and then Jason are here.
Okay. Okay.
So you guys received a large packet in your mail slot Friday night?
Yes.
Find it for me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I went out for bid for auditing services, because the auditor we currently have is finishing the 22, and then we don't have an auditor for 23 going forward. So I only received 2 bids back, unfortunately. You'll see a little graph. I kind of summarized the large packets for you, broke it down into what the total contract is gonna cost over 3 years. You got it?
Right here is like the sheet right on top. Right after the proposal.
There you go.
Get past the staples.
So currently, we're with Bacon.
Plodzik and Sanderson.
Okay.
Yep. Our current contract for 3 years is $45,000 for 3 years. So it did go up 20% if we go with Plodzik and Sanderson. If we go with Vashon, it goes up 44%. So I broke it down on how many hours each firm would designate to the town of Weare. Plodzik and Sanderson will give us 156 hours, Vashon only 150. So if you break that out per hour, Vashon is coming up at $136.67 per hour, and Plodzik and Sanderson is $107.02 per hour. If we need other services for, if a tax collector leaves or we need an audit for whatever reason, they will charge us extra per hour for those services. But emails, phone calls, all that's included in the contract price. Vashon currently has 100-plus governmental clients. Plodzik currently has 225 government entities. The staff size for Vashon is 12, and the staff size for Plodzik and Sanderson is 23. So that breaks it down to client-to-staff ratio, which is important. Vashon is 8.33 clients to 1 staff member, and Plodzik and Sanderson is 9.79 clients to 1 staff member. But you can tell by the price, Vashon is a lot higher than Plodzik and Sanderson. We've had both. We work well with both.
Like I said, I thought
so-
we've worked with both, yeah. So no complaints with either
No
in
complaints.
in our history? Okay.
No complaints.
Does the board have any questions regarding the auditing service?
When would they start?
They'll do the 2023 budget, or the annual fiscal, sorry about that. They'll do the 2023 annual audit, so we'll start in February of '24.
And when was this out? How long was it out, the RFP?
That went out for about 4 weeks.
Okay.
So a while,
Yeah.
yeah. I think last time we put out the bid, we only got, what, 3 back?
Yep.
Yeah, so,
I sent it to 5,
okay.
and then I obviously advertised it, but 5 got it in a big brown envelope on their desks. Only received 2 back.
Well, here's your answer. Any questions from the board?
Who do you recommend?
I don't have a preference.
Right,
I've worked
we've
with
used
both
both of them,
I've worked with both of them.
yeah, so.
Take cheaper one and on you if there's nobody has any.
Yeah, I think they've done well by us, so. So I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, just one question. So the only place where we could potentially see an additional cost would be if we requested an extra audit.
Yeah, if we find
Because
something that we question that we want them to
isn't
come in
passing
and
the
just
yeah,
focus on.
something doesn't pass the sniff test.
Yep.
Okay.
And if a
And
finance administrator, tax collector, possibly if the town clerk
Yeah.
left. We would have to have
that's
that
highly
audited.
unlikely. We haven't done that recently.
In 2020, we had to do a separate audit when an employee left.
Okay.
But it's just required for, for the new employee to take over, that they
Right.
come in with clean books.
A fresh slate, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Again, it's not rocking the boat a whole lot, that we've worked with them before. It's tough for me to vote on something that I haven't really read through. So I'm happy to abstain if everybody else is comfortable, but
Yeah.
that's where I am.
No, I'm fine.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Okay. Sherry, you all set? Okay.
And they put these together for you, right, Beth? You didn't put these together?
And this is the RFP we've used last couple times?
Yeah, I used it once 3 years ago.
Okay. All right.
Do I make a motion?
I'll entertain one.
Okay. So I make a motion, we accept the proposal from Plauditz and Sanderson as submitted and reviewed by the board for the fiscal year December 31, 2023, 2024, and 2025? As presented, you want the date today, Rick?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. All right, it's just as for that.
Well, could I ask one more question now that you mentioned, so do we have to commit to all 3 years?
No, it's just better if you do have the same people for 3 years, because each year they focus on one thing. They do the overall, but then they can really dig into one section, and then the next year they're like, okay, next year we're gonna dig into like ambulance billing,
Yeah, there's a
and then we'll dig
consistency
into like
factor.
transfer station,
Yeah, there's a consistency factor there, so. All right, there's been a motion made, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Like,
Opposed? And abstentions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Jason? This new?
The same one that Benji's worked on in the past. It's just, we don't have anything on paper and signed yet, which we probably ought to, so.
Okay.
This has been on my list for
A while.
since Benji left.
Yeah. Yeah. This is exactly what you were,
I don't work for it. I remember drawing up one and I didn't know we hadn't signed it yet, but yeah,
yeah.
I worked on it. Read it real quick. Basically the deal was they have to pave their apron. If the top plants are open, they have to post a bond if not.
Right. Okay.
Because what we're running into was driveway aprons were,
Crumbling.
they just would eat the $3,000. And some of the big developers, so I changed it to, you have to pave it.
Okay. Any questions?
no.
So because we know the Board of Fire Wards is going away, is it worth editing that so we don't have to do it again later?
You're gonna kinda have to.
I think we
You
would,
can just put for the Board of Fire Awards for 2023.
Yeah, put
Because
a date.
they're still actually until March of '24, so you can
Right.
put their date in,
Right.
because they're still gonna meet every month until they're dissolved.
right.
So you could insert the date when they dissolve.
But the other thing is too, it doesn't mean we can't revisit it when they do dissolve.
Or you could put at which point, or you put at, and then at which point, Board of Selectmen,
Right.
so that we don't have to revisit it.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm good with that. So we
But we're
could-
gonna have to amend that.
Yeah, we have to craft it a little bit.
That one sentence, or?
Pretty, yeah, just that one sentence, I think. to reflect accurately that it transitions hands from them to us March.
And then did I understand correctly, this is not really a new request, it's just codifying it? This is.
Yeah, it's, I mean,
Yeah, it's been on the back burner for a while.
we don't have anything in writing that
Right.
will back us up on this, so.
It's an existing policy with no,
Sure.
Right.
so to avoid bringing him back, we could accept it as amended and then sign it at any given time, right?
I don't see why not, if that's the intention of the board.
That's fine.
Would you like to decide on how you're gonna craft the amendment, so he doesn't?
Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah.
Well, so after the board of fire wards is dissolved, it would just be up to him. We don't need to add boards. I mean, we're not gonna go out and inspect it, are we?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
but
guys,
where
you
the
guys are gonna
requirements
make
coming
the
from?
stipulations, yeah.
And I guess that's a question too, is what is gonna occur with their regulations they have set forward when they dissolve? I don't know what's gonna happen with what they have. Does it roll to the planning board? Does it roll to zoning? Does it roll to us? I don't know.
Have the Board of Fire Wards ever gone out and inspected the aprons?
No, it's not the aprons. This is a driveway policy, so.
They have requirements that they've set forth for, you know,
Getting in if there was a
yeah,
fire.
the radius and stuff
Most
like
of the
that.
rules on there was for the fire department, but out on the road was, quite frankly, the drainage is all I cared about. Jason might care a little bit more, but the length of it with turnouts and things like that's where the Board of Fire Wards,
Yeah.
or the fire department, a lot of the time it was Board of Fire Ward member or went out with the chief a number of times,
Yeah.
the old fire chief.
To make sure that we can make the swing with the truck.
And the
Right.
pitch.
Yeah,
No more than 10%.
10%, right?
I mean, I think he needs something. I don't know. I don't know now if we'll have to revisit it in a year, but you said April, next April before they dissolve right now.
Yeah, you dissolve the town.
They dissolve a town
Town
meeting.
meeting.
I'm all for visiting something once, but now I don't know the answer to that question, so
But I
maybe
think-
tonight, get this through, we oughta.
Yeah, my only.
But I think we just opened up a can of worms of what it's gonna happen with their policies when they dissolve.
I think we ought to get on that. And that's
Yeah.
now that it's been talked, now it's been brought up.
Maybe get a copy of all their policy that they have for this.
What if we look at the requirements for the Board of Fire Wards are met until dissolved,
Mhm.
as well as the requirements?
Until board dissolution or whatever the word would be.
Say for the Board of Fire Wards are met
Mhm.
until dissolved, because that's what we called it on the ballot.
Right.
And can we just make that, the requirements more generic? So it doesn't matter that they come from the Board of Fire Wards today?
Or they
So,
come from
you
us
know,
tomorrow.
Right,
Yeah,
like all town requirements.
right.
all- And all requirements from the town are met. I guess that does open it up to, you
Yeah,
know,
that would-
planning, zoning, whatever, that's
Yeah.
kind of a can of
That's a
worms.
catch-all.
Yeah, we don't wanna do
That
that.
would be a catch-all for sure.
It's definitely a catch-all for sure.
I think it'd be town of Ware, right? Town of Ware requirements, maybe, I don't know.
Well, yeah, because that would be, I mean, that would include everybody, and I don't think that's really the intention, yeah.
I don't wanna do that.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how to, I think to get him through another busy building season, we oughta, I guess, adopt something tonight. I don't know when it comes to the fire department
Well-
and who's gonna deal with that later.
Well, we
I don't
can
know if can decide that tonight.
we can accept this exactly the way it's written.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And then in, say, January, February, put it back on our agenda to A, readdress it, and B, understand what's gonna happen with their policies,
Right.
right?
I hate to do that, but I think we need to.
Yeah, me too.
'cause I don't know.
If it slipped through the cracks, that's the only thing I'm
I
afraid
just-
of.
I don't know who's gonna take over that.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be talked to the planning board and stuff.
But I think that's a discussion that needs to happen.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree, I mean, I agree, but I'm also worried that.
As a work session topic, probably, we need to discuss that, but,
This is another one of these deals that's 20 years to
yeah.
waiting to hit us, right?
Right, so, I think we probably adopted the way it is and just put it on our calendar for January to discuss it.
I don't mind discussing it before then, but yes.
Well, you know what I mean, right? So, all right, I'll entertain a motion then.
I move that we accept the driveway bond policy presented to us by Director Fisk.
Is there a second?
Interim Director Fisk.
Yeah, second.
Moving seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
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 All right. We just need one, it doesn't say draft on it.
Yeah, I'll just clean it up for next time.
Okay, sounds good.
It'll have today's date on it.
Yep.
though.
All right, so maybe like the tail end of fall, we start talking about.
Yeah, I guess maybe
Before budget season, but,
we'll put some feelers out and find out who's
Yeah.
gonna be responsible for it.
yeah, it's a thought that crossed
You
my
don't
mind as
want
soon as
all
we
that.
said dissolved, I'm like, well, what's gonna happen? Yeah,
You don't wanna be the
I'm
one
sure you don't.
measuring all the radiuses and stuff.
no.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. It said, so that what was signed, what everybody voted on, said disband the Board of Fire Wards and return control back to the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
So, the question was, is it going to planning, it's going to, everything's going to us.
That's the way I understand it, but exactly how is that gonna, because again, remember, the planning board is a sub of the Board of Fire, the Board of Selectmen. So is that something the Board of Selectmen wants to do, is to say, hey, everything's fire wards, now it's planning board, right? But
We voted on it as written.
we haven't had that discussion.
Right.
Right, and we voted on it as this, but in the fall, like Benji said, I think we need to have that discussion to find out
Yeah.
what the plan is,
Yeah.
when that
I'm
dust
just thinking, like,
settles.
yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
day one, we're going to be able to pawn it off.
Right, no, but again, what are we gonna do? We're gonna have to give it to one of our subcommittees, or take it on our own.
Yep.
So. Yes, sir.
All right, what you have in front of you is, I guess the final invoices for the compactor, reline, rebuild of all the parts. You can see at the bottom line on the front page there is, the money that went over what you guys approved. $3,000 change. You guys approved 35,000, so I just need you guys to approve the rest so we can pay for it.
When we had the, hiccup, after everything was put back in and they pushed the button for the first time, that's not on us, right?
That was not on us.
Okay.
That portion of it, that was the motor. This was due to some unforeseen pump parts.
Initially.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What was the difference, do you recall what the difference was between the two vendors when we approved Atlantic?
Oh, it was significant.
Atlantic bid on it and the other company declined.
So we were down to one anyway. Did they notify you prior to doing the work of the additional costs?
Yep.
Okay.
But I'm sure the plug was out when they said, hey, the plug wasn't back in yet.
No, I mean, yeah.
No, my point of reason asking the question is that you had an opportunity to make sure that what they're stating is in fact the case.
Yeah, I talked with the salesman and the guys had boots on the ground over there. Again, it's kind of stuff we knew going into it that we might go over budget a little bit. That's why we did bump the number up a couple $1,000, but it just wasn't enough.
So looking at the two, you have two quotes, both from Atlantic Recycling Equipment. The second one, which totals $28.62, has a section there that says if the town chooses to keep the waste oil, they'll deduct 10%. So
We kept
is that
the waste
something you
oil.
decide? If we did, then that should be lower.
Okay, I'll have to look into it.
And it should be about $290 cheaper.
Yep.
286.
Did we keep you up?
I thought Frank just took it up
On the
there
last
at the transfer station. I'll have to get in touch
Okay.
with him.
Good catch.
Okay.
Yeah, so it says right there, the new total would be 25,7648.
Right. Right, which is $300 back
Well,
to us.
it's 286 because 10% of the.
Right. The new total will be $25.76. So 200, whatever dollars. All right. I think regardless, we still need to appropriate. I'm not saying we're not gonna get that
Yeah.
back, but I just think we need to appropriate. I mean, the job was done, the job was well done from what I saw, when I stopped by, when there was no activity in there, from what I looked in there, and looks like they did a pretty good job. And definitely put the welds to it, that's for sure.
They ended up plating the bottom, about 3/8 more
Yeah,
than what they originally quoted as well.
right. So they did more than what they had quoted,
Sure.
not
So-
less.
So what actually happened to cost, I mean, $4,200 is like 15% extra. I mean, it's a pretty big jump.
Yeah, you would think the quote would have been a lot
Yep,
closer.
so when they took it apart, they found that there was actually 3 cross members underneath the machine as well that were broken off, that they had to repair. So that's some more significant labor there, as well as replating an extra 3/8 of an inch.
Okay.
Yeah, they put more material on it.
Didn't you just say that so we're paying for that then? You said they did 3/8 more than they had to.
No, because it was worn out that bad.
Okay.
They had to add the extra steel.
So is that, I get we're here, we gotta pay them because the work's done. But is that something that when they did the bid, they should have known that? Should they have been able to get under there and see that this was a problem?
There's no way they could have.
Cause the plug was in, right?
Yeah, the actual ram that cycles in and out and pushes the trash,
Yeah.
that doesn't come out all the way to look at the underside of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so there
it's-
was some unknown.
Yep.
And as I think that's why we went a little high initially, because it was unknown. And actually, I think they found they found 2 cross members that were rotted.
That was the other company.
That was the other company, okay. But we knew that going into it, so we added a little bit there, and obviously it wasn't quite enough. But,
So what we should have done, instead, we know that there are at least 2, so how did they know?
because on their inspection, they inspected a little differently.
That's what I just asked. Could they have known?
The trailer was on when Atlantic came out to look at it. The trailer was off when the other company came out to look.
There you go.
So they
The
were
trailer
able
was
to
in the way.
see the first cross member.
Well, shouldn't we have had the trailer off for both of them? So they
It
could
wa-
have seen what they were giving us a quote on?
We were working.
Yeah.
Taking
we were-
trash.
We were taking trash and pushing, so they were just happened to be there when the can was pulled away. So. And when push comes to shove, that can needs to be attached, trust me. No pun intended, push, but,
Yeah, I get it. I guess I would just take it as a learning experience.
well, again, my thing is when you, until you get the plug out, until you get everything cut out of there, there's some things you're not gonna see. Just the way that's
They
designed,
could have seen.
just the way it's designed. And, I mean, they probably could
The
have
other
seen
company
2 or
did
3.
see it,
Well,
yeah.
it's, right, no, I'm not
And then
gonna
I
disagree with
asked if
that.
they could have, and I was told no.
Well, they could have if the trailer was pulled away, but you would have had to probably
Yeah, I mean, it's.
fill the hopper.
It's kinda just the way it happened.
Yeah.
This was in January, the original
Yeah,
quotes we had, the trailer was hooked up.
yeah.
When the other
So-
company came, the trailer wasn't hooked.
You're comfortable that it's a justifiable change order?
There's nothing that they did that I deem unreasonable,
Okay.
Okay.
personally.
Yeah, I mean,
How is it working now?
Cycling just like brand new, apparently.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Faster than
Before?
Frank's ever seen it.
Okay,
I mean, we had a week to get this project done.
yeah.
With all this stuff that happened, are we gonna shut down the project and have an emergency meeting next time, or do we just wanna go ahead and get it done?
Complete the project, yeah. If one thing has to run every day, it's that. So,
yeah, it's just very important that the contractor notifies you that this change order is on its way and here's what we're gonna do and
this is why
an
type thing.
estimated cost or time, whatever, so that you can just make that assessment. A lot of it is obviously is confidence in the contractor and what you're seeing happening, you know, if you got 2 guys leaning against a truck and 1 guy working, you know. it might
That's a
raise
little
red
different.
flag, but have to defer to you. So, it's done, we owe the
Took a
money.
walk over there once a day, so.
Yeah. Okay.
They weren't messing around.
Good.
If we didn't have issues, it would have been done in the allotted time that they had originally quoted, so.
Now, if we cut this full amount, and to Salem's point, that 10%, will we get a check back from them?
I mean,
Just deduct it.
You could just go up to and then.
Okay,
yeah, I'll make sure what the right price is before we send the check out, for
okay,
sure.
all right, okay. I'll move that we appropriate up to the amount of $3,122.06 for the discrepancy in the work performed at the transfer station with the compactor to come from the transfer station equipment capital reserve fund. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Yes. Done?
Is that 5?
Yes,
Yeah, I was gonna try to word it, deduct that amount, but.
yeah,
just-
that's what I said, up to.
It's for more. It's the bid we didn't put out, or we put out.
Yep.
We didn't get any responses.
Well, we got one, right?
Well, after the fact, I
Okay.
spoke to the gentleman whose bid you have in your hand right now.
Okay.
He said he was on vacation while the bid was out, and he didn't get a chance to get to us till about 3 or 4 days after, so.
Okay, and you've got a pretty good synopsis on mileage and hourly and how much
Yeah,
work get done?
I've got just about, I guess, down to the hour of what we have money for, so.
Okay, that works for me. Is there anything we have to sign or no? Or we just have to approve it? Anybody else want to see it?
Yeah, I'll get it. First thing.
So how much is in that mower line?
12.
12? Okay. All right.
I guess, can you talk hours then? Because that only ends up being, 100 hours across June through September.
So it's basically 2.5 weeks of mowing.
And that's enough?
No.
No,
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 what you got.
it's not enough, but it's what we have money
that's
for.
what we have appropriated for. That's what we have money for.
We better find out what areas are the worst.
Well, I think that's why I just kinda asked him was, he's got down almost the hour of what he's gonna have done.
What about the knotweed? Are we doing anything with that this year?
We have a company that sprays it.
Are we on the third year of that installment now?
Or did
I
they finish
don't
the
know
third
how
year?
many years.
I think it's the third year of the
I was
knotweed.
gonna ask you sometime about that.
Yeah.
Cause it had got done in the last year,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I
Oh.
didn't know if you're gonna reach back out to him.
Yeah,
again.
yep, yeah,
I was gonna have him go around, make a new map, because it put a good hurt on
yep,
some of the
exactly.
stuff, some need to be redone, and there was new stuff, like,
Yep,
whatever.
Yep.
I meant to ask you, I didn't know justified doing it in the meeting, cause I just was curious about it.
yep, they do it once in the spring, once in the fall,
And he knows you can't mow that, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's why I thought about it.
yeah, and, everything that I've learned about it in the recent past here is the fall is the better time to spray it. So,
Which, that applicator's license is the other way around.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, sounds about right.
but yes, that's what they said.
when it flowers, and then
What
at the end of the
happens when they mow
season, it sucks it all in.
Spreads it. It's against state law now.
Yeah, if you cut it, if
When
you
that first
shake it,
came
it
up, I went
spreads
to
like
one of the
wildfire.
classes, and the state,
I have
state
it-
tried
I
to
have
tell
it
you,
everywhere.
Yeah,
state tried to tell you how to cover it with plastic bags for 25 years, and I said, you guys are, you need to spray it. Oh, that's harmful. No, it's the only way to get rid of it.
you want to get rid of it.
A lot of farms have it around, because it was made for chicken.
Yeah, that's what I own. I got it, if everybody wants any, come over.
I use this guy in there, and he does a wicked good job, I can tell you that.
I've
much.
talked with 3 different road agent, public works directors, and they've said the same thing about him. So,
Okay. I think that hourly rate for an operator and a piece of machinery is pretty reasonable.
yeah, I mean, if he has a breakdown, we're not paying for his
Time,
breakdown
his
time.
breakdown
We're paying
time.
for him
When the,
beyond machine.
like I say, when the blades are flying. Yeah.
No, I don't think it's bad, I just,
No,
it's always one thing in this town, and
Yeah.
come budget season, we need to talk about it,
Yep.
but he has 12 grand there, and that guy can mow, I think we ought to.
yeah, oh, we ought to take it up, absolutely, yeah.
Need to discuss other things
Yeah.
at the end of the year, I think.
Yeah.
You want that?
Yeah, we'll need it for the motion when Naomi's done with it. Because we need his name and the rate. That's all. His insurance was attached,
Yeah, it was.
so.
Make a motion, Field Works of New Hampshire, proposal at $115 an hour to do roadside mowing. We accept it with the understanding that it will not exceed the $12,000 budgeted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moving seconded, all in favor? Yes.
Yeah, she's gonna actually need
Yeah,
it
back
for
that way.
folder, right?
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Okay. Anything for Jason?
I don't have anything.
Okay. While you're here, we did receive an email from multiple signature residents from Irving.
Yeah, he got it too.
Okay. Do you want some time to digest that, or do you want to chat about it?
He wasn't in today, so he might not have seen it.
All right. So
I
take
did-
some time to
I did
digest it.
see it, and I did go around with the town engineer, like I believe I talked with you guys last time I was here. We did look at a few roads that we have in mind, Bartlett, Abbey, Balch. We looked at Renshaw, we looked at Irving. There is 2 larger culverts on Irving that are gonna eat up a lot of money.
There's
Okay.
2 of them, Jay.
The
The one at the bottom before it was, I know.
Yep, so 3 then. So that one down there, that's one we knew. And then, the 2 metal pipes that are left that the stream runs through, the larger stream.
The one first to the right's new.
Yep, yep,
There's 2 more?
there is,
Oh.
yep, so there's, probably half a mile up. There's a metal pipe and the top of it's just sagged. And that same stream runs up through the middle of Irving and then crosses back up across Irving. There's another top.
Forgot there's none.
There's
The one
another
on the
metal
right was
pipe.
aluminum, and it caved, they just caved in, and
Yeah.
it almost shrank.
Yeah, and they're gonna be, I mean, they're gonna be expensive type pipes to replace, so that's,
So when he dropped it off, the request was to come talk to us about it and
Yep.
get on the agenda.
Yep.
But I wanted Jason to have some time to look at it.
Yeah,
as
I mean,
well.
digest, I just didn't know if, again, I want to make sure you got it and see if you had any Spitfire stuff to talk about on it, but you just did, so.
yeah, my hope is to have a, kinda just a proposal for you guys the next meeting, so.
Okay. Very good. Appreciate it. Any other questions for Jay? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
As always.
Solar's asked to be tabled to another meeting.
Okay, that's all right. Yep. All right, so the solar subcommittee has been tabled. We will recognize Ralph with the Weare Winter Wanderers for a trail discussion.
So thanks for having me tonight. Again, my name's Ralph Feldbaum. I'm not a town resident, but I am the trail master for the Weare Winter Wanderers Snowmobile Club. And the first thing we would like to ask you for is to consider allowing us to place some thank you landowner signs around town. I'm thinking maybe a half a dozen of them. It would just be a roughly, well, depend on your zoning, what your sign sizes are, but I was thinking in the lines of the size of roughly a speed limit sign. Just basically with thank you on the top, our logo in the center, and landowners at the bottom. It's getting harder and harder for us to stay as a club, because if we lose a single landowner now with larger parcels getting divvied up, if we lose a single landowner, it's almost catastrophic for us. So we really want to reach out to our landowners and just thank them, know that, that the club really appreciates them, so we're asking you for that. One of the places I thought would be a great place to put one would be on the town road to the transfer station. A lot of traffic in there. I don't know if we could place them on 114 or not without
I'd
New
ask
Hampshire
this.
DOT.
That'd be state.
You gotta ask
Yeah,
them.
so I just putting stuff out there, but maybe entering the parking lot here. I don't know if you would want them on entryways to schoolways or not, but just, we would like for you to consider allowing us to place maybe a half a dozen signs around town. The second thing we would like
Excuse
to,
me, just one question before we move on from that.
Sure.
These would be permanent signs,
yes, they would.
and they'd be placed on their own standalone post, or would they be attached?
It would be, we would place them on a typical roadside sign post, such as a stop sign post. It's a heavy steel post. The Colebrook Club up in Colebrook, New Hampshire, the Skeebies, they have them around town thanking their landowners, and that's kind of what prompted me to think about this. They're set a little bit lower than the speed limit signs. They're set more at maybe like a 6-foot high level. And they're set on those heavy posts that,
Yeah.
Stop
Yep.
signs.
Piece of channel post, right? Okay.
yes.
All right. Yep, I'm okay. I just want to double check where we're putting them. We're not nailing them to telephone poles or trees.
No, the only thing I had to add was it, come up with the spots and just check with the
Yeah,
Public Works
DPW,
Director.
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Check with who?
The Public Works Director, when it comes time for the
Yeah,
locations,
well,
Casey says that might be a bad
So I
spot.
had that on my thing here, is that we would check with the town road agent, or whatever you want us to check with. And then obviously we would comply with whatever sizing, if there's any kind of zoning for signs,
There is, I believe.
not like that.
Yes.
You know,
And
signs would be all right.
there would be no cost to the taxpayer, this would be totally on the
The
club.
Canada state roads, though, you have to get their permission. They
Yeah.
might be a little harder, I don't know. so.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Which would be, I mean, the crossing up here would be awesome, because people see snowmobiles crossing there all the time, so.
Yep.
That'd really be the
And
emphasis.
the town wouldn't be responsible if it did get hit, right?
what's that now?
The town, if it did get hit, say plowing or something, town wouldn't be responsible?
That's us, that's on us,
Okay.
totally on us.
Okay, good enough.
Any other questions on that one?
No,
Just
just
get-
say
get-
just to note what Ben said, they'll have to be approved, just to make sure they're not, they don't
Obstruct
pose us-
vision.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's the end of that trail Ricky's talking about, you and your own club members coming out, if they can't see up and down the highway because. of the
Absolutely, so,
A
like
lot
I
will
s-
have to be thought about.
Absolutely, we would coordinate with the road agent, line of sight issues, distances from the roadway, from the easement, I mean, the
Right away.
breakdown lane, if you will, off the asphalt. So these are things that would be up to the town as far as that placement goes.
Just to address a couple of the examples you gave, like, I don't feel too comfortable putting them on like the town and school.
Okay.
It's a bit, it almost feels like an endorsement.
Yeah.
That's fine, there was thoughts, not,
Yeah, it's, like, it's a
It's
good
not what we're
idea
requesting.
as far as traffic and whatnot. but-
I was thinking town roads, if I can deal with, state DOT and get a couple on 114, I would love that. Just because of the traffic when they come into the town of Weare and maybe from this
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
And that's that.
I don't know, maybe it's not allowed, but if you could affix them to the existing trail, the big diamond yellow snowmobile crossing signs, if you could affix it like below that.
Do we have any of those in town?
Yeah, that was my
I don't
question.
think we
Yeah, I
do.
don't believe we do.
I don't believe we do. Yeah.
The only one we have is over on 149,
Yeah.
Right, where it
to
comes
where
down.
Toby
out
Hill
of the
comes
hill.
through.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have one over there,
One there.
because it's a
Okay.
line of sight issue there.
Right. Okay.
I guess, and I say, I'd prefer to not add more posts. If you can double up, if that's allowed, and you
Right.
find good spots to do that, that's what I prefer.
Yeah.
Just to,
But again, I think, I personally, I think the most exposure you would have would be a state road, myself.
Yeah,
Lang Tots area, obviously, and I'm thinking where people see snowmobile activity.
Yep.
Gould Road, Lang Tots, crossing down here on 114, 149, et cetera. I'm not trying to discourage you from town roads, I'm just thinking your actual exposure to,
Yep.
to hit your target, that's all, my
yeah,
thought.
appreciate that. So, for our second thing, we would like to inquire about upgrading some Class 6 roads. We have, with the shortened seasons, the lack of snowfall, and climate change, if you will, we didn't have a very good freeze this year. So we had some serious issues on Melvin Valley Road, our trail on Melvin Valley Road between the Gun Club and Chris Bolton's land. And, so that particular one, we wouldn't wanna look at this year, but we also, run on Peasley Road. I believe it may be called South Road on the other end, but it could be Old Sugar Hill Road too, on the 77 end, if you know where I'm talking about. So there's some pretty serious water holes in there, and we would like to have permission from the Board of Selectmen at no cost to you, our cost, to put some fill in there and some gravel into the bad spots for, when the four-wheel traffic goes through, the off-road traffic goes through, it goes through the puddle and it pushes out the fines and whatnot, and the puddles get deeper and deeper every year, and then every year it gets harder and harder for us to make a trail through there. So we would like permission, or at least your consideration, for allowing us to put some upgrades to those Class 6 roads. Currently, we use Melvin Valley Road and Peasley Road, South Road, and right now, we are not using Toby Hill Road, but we are hoping to get back over there. We had a trail closure that prohibits us from getting over there. One of the benefits for this would also be for, to the town, I would think, for firefighting. And it's my understanding, I was gone this weekend, but it's my understanding that you just had an issue with a fire over Toby Hill Road somewhere.
Yeah.
And fire equipment was having a hard time getting to it, so that would be one of the benefits for that too. The third and final issue, or request, and I realize this one here would probably have to be a warrant article, but we would request permission to place gates on the Class 6 roads that we use, not as a permanent thing, but as a way to protect the road during mud season. We would ask to put the gate, that the gates would be closed at the end of the season, and then, which would be basically in March, and they would remain closed. I was thinking May 23rd, which is when the parks open, the Bureau of Trails opens the parks. That's when the mud, technically, in their eyes, is dried up and gone, and then it's doesn't do damage to the trail, the off-road vehicles. I realize it's going to be an inconvenience for some of the local people, but the big thing is that we see on the trail is out-of-state off-road clubs that'll come up here in large numbers, and once they do, they start going in and they like getting in the mud and they like spinning. And that just makes, exacerbates the problem. So we would like to be able to put the gates in, but not close them until the end of the season. So basically, they would be closed roughly 6 weeks, just for protecting the road, the upgrades that, we hope to make, and hopefully it helps out the town too.
I do understand that someone has, for other reasons, fixed up a Class 6 road and mudders have ruined it, but as I look into it, I'm almost positive you can't do that.
Yeah, I think, I was gonna say that myself, is I think that's, to block it is illegal.
I do understand the reason, and
Oh,
it's too bad for them to put money in
100%.
and get ruined, but almost, and I
100%.
could be wrong, but I'm almost positive
Yeah,
you can't gate, because it's still a public road.
This is still a public road.
right, yeah, it's still, exactly.
It can't be locked if it's gated.
Right.
Anyway.
So, the reason I thought about that is I remember as a kid, there used to be all kinds of county roads, the Class 6 roads, town roads and county roads that were, there was always a sign at the beginning of them, and it said that the road would be subject to bars and gates.
Right.
I don't know if that was because of private land, that it encountered private land,
don't
or
know.
if that's what they were, but that's what I was thinking. So in lieu of that, if we can't do that, we would probably ask to place some signs on those roads, road closed to four-wheel traffic, or wheeled vehicles, or something, and then have a specified time period from whatever to whatever.
That might be able to be a town vote,
Yeah, I don't know.
because you're
anything about that.
changing use, but it's still open. I don't know.
Like I said, I
We'd have
get
to-
it, I just, even though it's Class 6, it's still, they
Still a
got the
town
same
road,
rules
yeah.
as a Class 5.
Right,
So we'd have to look in.
yeah, we'd have to look into it.
Or
Yeah,
or they can, whatever.
Yeah.
but-
right. on the Classics Road part of it. As far as upgrading him, you know, your point two, with the gravel and stuff, I think that would roll back to this board
It does, it rolls back to us and supposed to be overseen.
by our
Public Works
DPW director, right. And I think back to all the driveway / upgrades we've allowed to be made that were brought up to a standard of some kind.
And I don't know, is this where they're not moving in, if I'd care if it was brought up to a standard, I guess.
Right, but again, I would still want the DPW director to
At least he.
know
If there's a
about it,
phone
oversee
call, he
it,
says, yeah, I know.
and look at it, right.
I don't have a problem with you doing it, they're spending the money on it.
Yeah, I mean, not that you would, but the only issue here is we give you a blank check to go in and repair things. Some of those things need to be reviewed. I mean, obviously, conservation might have an issue with where you're putting the fill, or, again, there's
The
water,
drainage change.
you're talking about water being involved,
Yeah.
where is there gonna be erosion issue, and maybe just making a recommendation on how to address that, just to avoid that new material, till it's settled in place, right? It's loose. If we had last week's rain, you know, your material at all might be somewhere else, depending on the grade, right? And it might be someplace that it shouldn't be, right? So there may just be a little more specific about where we're gonna do it.
Where, what,
Yeah,
Yeah.
where, you know, I mean, an overlay map or someplace, we can get a couple, okay, it's here, here, and here, and we can get a blessing from somebody in conservation saying, fine, we walked it, doesn't seem to be an issue. You know, but if it's sitting next to a major
So are you
wetland-
looking for me to grab a copy of the topo map and put some X's where we're looking to do
Yeah,
the work?
exactly.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Exactly. So we can be just a little more specific than stating it.
Yep.
I mean, this is basically, like I said, we would be awarding you a blank check. Go do what you want.
The only, we wouldn't be doing, obviously, we wouldn't be doing any culvert work because it's, we don't want to deal with permits.
Right.
So the only thing that we would be doing is, you know, obviously, we'll talk with the conservation people, but there are low spots that,
Yeah.
and spots that have, drainage has washed the rut out, so it's basically exposed boulders. It's just very hard to get enough snow early in the year to fill it, so it's,
cover it, right.
it's more or less, it's a safety issue as well as, something that would allow us to use the trail earlier. It's a safety issue for, especially for young riders or inexperienced riders.
So you putting a bridge or something across
Nope.
it?
No,
Nothing?
just fill in puddles
Fill
type
in
thing, yeah,
holes.
the road is,
graders.
I mean, it's,
long as it goes in the
obviously it's
water,
passable, the four-wheel drive vehicles are going through there, you know, on a regular basis. It's just not something that we wanna deal with. There are some areas that have become quite muddy, and if it doesn't, this year was one, a case in point, that we didn't get a heavy enough,
Snow cover.
cold, freeze, that area stayed muddy all winter, and it's just, it's hard on equipment, it's hard on the riders, it's hard on their sleds.
Yeah, it's hard on the groomer, yeah. So, yeah, I would agree with Kevin, just the topo, a couple of small spots where you want to do it, maybe some pictures, if you want to go out there and just take some pictures to include
do
on
that.
the file.
Yep.
So we kind of get an idea what's going on in the basic area around it, type thing. Does that sound
Yeah,
adequate?
yeah. I mean, I'm very familiar with what happens in the washout, and all of a sudden you got ledge where there used to be 2 feet of gravel, but it's where that 2 feet of gravel went, because it went someplace. And it's
Yeah.
just to make sure that we don't all of a sudden have somebody else knocking at our door telling us that those 3 10-wheel loads of gravel are now
I
sitting
don't
in
know
the.
if somebody even care to review or want to ask just conservation, 'cause
Oh, I think, like,
I don't,
We'll talk to Steve once we have that in our hand, and
yeah, I don't think I think it'd be good to include them after all the conversations we had.
Do you want me to return here, or just mail something to Naomi, or do you want me to, go directly before the Conservation Commission, or?
All the above. No, I think probably what would help would be to make the presentation, email to Naomi, she could distribute it to the Conservation Commission, and then probably it'd be in your best interest to be there to answer questions
Okay.
and get on their agenda.
yeah. I mean,
I don't mind looking at it, and I don't wanna be the one saying, yeah, it's wetland, yeah, it's not. This board voted a few years ago to, obviously, if there's wetland across something, that's a little different, you're not doing that. but
Right.
Voted for the highway guy to oversee it, so.
Oh, I'm not, yeah,
As far as I'm concerned,
It's us.
I ain't gonna go, yeah, it was
Yeah.
us to let him go.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
no,
fine.
I think if we give the stamp of approval, I think it would definitely be up to have the DPW go down and take a look at it and give it the blessing, because it's a
Yeah,
class
yeah.
6, it's a town road, let's, it is what it is.
Again,
But,
you're spot on. The protocol is get it to town administrator. Town administrator is gonna bring it to us and make a recommendation. If it stops at conservation, and if it stops at DPW, we'll give that nod and we'll get it moving for you. Probably at both of those two, one department, one committee.
Yep.
And then once we get feedback from them, we'll schedule you back.
yeah, yeah.
Hopefully give you the go-ahead.
Are there other stakeholders we need to involve? Because you made the comment when you were talking about point 3, gating, it may impact local residents.
I can't gauge.
So-
no,
No, I'm not talking
no,
about
just-
gating. I'm not talking about doing the gate. But when you were talking about gating, you made the comment, it may inconvenience local residents. And so when you talk about doing road repairs, that potentially could also impact local residents. So I'd like to make sure that we're not,
Well, the only
Inconveniencing
impact to
somebody.
them would be, they would be
Positive.
angry that they didn't get enough mud on their truck.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it'd be a positive.
I think so.
No,
That's
yeah.
our
No,
opinion.
no, you have a valid point. It could increase traffic if we smooth the road up, because now you don't need a lift kit to get through it. So, no, that's a valid point, and I think what we would probably end up doing is have a public hearing and
That's
discuss it,
kinda what I'm
and let
getting
people
at.
come in that might have a concern, that all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
gonna become a thoroughfare again. I mean, I have a road that abuts my property that used to be passable just fine.
No,
The
it's not.
telephone company, I think you may be familiar with it, they call it Quaker Street.
Yeah.
That goes up, telephone company decided to bury a cable down through, and when they did, they dug through all the old stone culverts, and now it's sheer ledge all the way up through, and you no longer use it, because it's not passable, and the state cut you off, up through there, but.
When you use class 6 road, it reads you gotta leave it in equal or better condition than you found it.
Right, right.
As long as it's better, that's how the law reads.
Well, tell Granite State, because they wrecked that one. I used
They
to
shouldn't
do
shouldn't go through stone culvert, that's a big no-no.
that. Yeah, they dug through every one of them.
Whatever you guys want, I'm not that fussy about that one, so.
Okay.
Whatever you guys want.
So I think 2, you kind of got a direction on. 1, I think you kind of got a direction on as well. And 3, it's gonna take some further looking into. But I think probably your signage would be better, in that aspect, because I don't think
I don't know if you put a sign saying they can't do that. either.
No, either, but I think if an informational sign at least may help you.
Okay, I'm missing what you're saying now.
So you want to put gates on the
Yeah,
class
yeah,
six,
yeah, yeah,
right?
okay, I thought you were
Which I
talking
don't-
about my first item.
No,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm talking bullet 3.
Yeah.
I think maybe a signage, not so much limiting the traffic, but say, hey, we do use this.
Yeah.
Let it be known that snowmobilers are out here using it. There might be a respect level, one club to another. I don't know. If they don't know about it, right, hey, yeah, class 6 road, up we go. I don't know.
Generally, in the wintertime, we don't have an issue with it, or at least we haven't.
Right.
Once we get snowfall that's significant, they don't want the
It locks it up.
four-wheelers don't want to be in there either.
No,
I
because they'll
mean,
sink us,
They
like,
don't. It's just early
Mud,
season, we
yeah.
tend to run into that. They like to get on a groom trail and
oh, yeah.
fishtail and stuff.
Oh, I know, but maybe there'd be a respect there if there was a informational, hey, we use this year round.
You can
Okay.
check in to see if I'm wrong or not, I don't.
I don't think, I think I lean him, I don't think you can, because it's still
Had to
considered
look
a
in
town
there.
As
road.
far as the gate goes.
Right.
I've had to look into
Right.
that for
Yeah.
other issues before.
No,
Right.
I've tried it a number of times up.
So as far as,
Towards where?
do you want to see before, I'll send, when I do my topo map and the stuff for Peasley Road,
Yep,
do you want to see a sample of what we're looking at for signs for
Yeah,
the
sure.
thank you signs?
absolutely, yeah.
And a sample of maybe what we can do on the class 6 roads for a sign for that?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely,
okay.
yeah, that'd be
That'd be
great,
great if it's all one package.
yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
I don't see any harm in the sign on the Class 6 road, making people aware that whatever,
Yeah.
damage is gonna be done between these, if the road is used between these dates.
okay.
You might meet with the fire department to see if there's something that you could work with them on to what we just had. They were out there several times. They ran
As far as
thousands of-
Toby Hill Road, you
They
mean?
ran thousands and thousands of feet to get water to that.
Yeah.
And then the wind kept bringing it back up. Just a thought. He was here earlier, but he had to leave, but
Okay.
Okay.
you might just reach out to him.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, Tom.
All right. Well, better late than
Oh,
never.
yeah.
Public comment.
I just want to address, Jackie Pratt, Winter Road. I just want to address quickly the protocol, because honestly, I just didn't like the way the whole thing went down as far as how we were treated. So when someone gets put on the agenda to bring up questions to the Board of Selectmen, it's my understanding if we're bringing it up to the Board of Selectmen that you guys are going to answer the questions if we're on the agenda. Somewhere along the line, it went to town administrator, which I'm not sure if it was town administrator to give us the answers to the questions or if she was going to answer the questions. Again, I went through all the minutes, went through all the YouTube videos, couldn't find any of discussions on it from you guys. Then somewhere along the line, town administrator turned around and brought it to town council. Again, we weren't aware, didn't know until a month into it after our lawyer was notified, and again, didn't know that was going to happen either. Then we heard at the last meeting that town administrator said that the board had discussed it and had chose to turn it over to town council. Again, went back through the minutes, went back through the YouTube videos. I can't find it anywhere where you guys had made that decision to turn it over to town council. If someone could just, I don't know, it just, the whole process is broken. It's completely broken. It never should have happened the way it did. And then when we tried to do an RSA 91A to find out where we could find this information, because we were told that we're not allowed, we don't have a, I don't want to use the wrong wording, but basically we don't have a right to know the questions that we asked, which was how did it get to that point. So we tried to do an RSA 91A to see if we could maybe, find some clues, which is really sad that we have to turn around and try to find clues to figure out questions that we asked the board. Again, wrong. We got that back to no avail, and we were told that some of them are attorney-client privilege, which brings me to the next point, that if a town employee hires town council to address a property, then it becomes attorney-client privilege. Well, wouldn't I be technically the client because I'm a taxpayer and we're paying the money for you guys to incorporate town council? And then is this just like a blanket way of covering up things? Because then if you turn it to town council, it becomes attorney-client privilege, then nobody can find out what it is. So it just seems like there's a lot of secrecy. So I would really love if you guys could set up some type of policy that if people come to the Board of Selectmen, get on the agenda, ask questions, that maybe you guys take a vote. And so if I went to the minutes or to the YouTube video at the end of the meeting or something, I could say, hey, well, that's what's going on. Because we were completely left in the dark with this whole entire thing. Took months when it shouldn't have. It's ridiculous. And then we're told we don't have a right to know. And we still didn't get an answer to the sixth question, and we're never going to because they said, we don't have to answer your questions. All righty. I mean, and then you guys want to have this discussion about, bringing in a grant to get more housing. Fix this broken system first, because you guys cannot handle what is going on with the people in your town. Never mind increasing the people in your town. Fix what is broken first. This is broken. I mean, you guys make it so that it's supposed to be welcoming, we should be able to come, and then we specifically got on the agenda to get answers, and it didn't happen that way. And then, like I said, and you guys invoke our lawyer, and then we're told that we don't have a right to know. To this day, we still don't know. Our lawyer doesn't know. That should, God. Anyway, if that could just be some type of a policy maybe you guys could work on, because that is so broke. It's just broken. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank?
Thank you, Frank Campana. As you may recall, my issue is, and comment, is the fact that a little over a month ago, I tried to get in contact with the town administrator, and it still hasn't happened, except for one little blip. It was on April I'm sorry, it was on April 8th. I got home late, but there was a message, I know I only got 5 minutes, but there was a message on my answering machine. It was from the town administrator, it was at 6:10 PM. She was on her way to the Board of Selectmen's meeting, I think that was a work session for you, wanted to know if I was going to attend. Quite honestly, I don't remember if it just trailed off to whatever it was. You know, the person that sent the message can, you know, reaffirm. But, I mean, I don't know what she was gonna do, you know, on her way to the meeting, you know, to satisfy me. So I want to say that I still really haven't heard from the town administrator, and somewhat with the lady behind me. This is an awful way to, this is all foreign to me. I am still looking for the memorandums of understanding that you have been discussing, I think, with the police department. And what I'm going to hand to you, the timing is off a little bit, but I have now this lady scares me. I have an IRS, right to know form. You know, I don't know what else to do. So what it is, it's May 15th. Now I put 9:10 PM. Time is a little bit off. And I might say, I hope this is a valid form still, because as I look at the Board of Selectmen's, there's Jack Meany, John Osborne, and Jan Snyder. All right, they're not there anymore. So I'm sure the time, I'm not taking up the town administrator's time, you know, to make the heading correct. So I hope it's valid, even though it's, so clear description. The 3 or 4, I'm not quite sure, I think there's probably 3. The 3 or 4, oh, well, let me hand this to you. I only made the one copy. And quite honestly, you guys shouldn't even have to do this, but my back's against the wall. Request 3 or 4 adopted memorandums of understanding that the board and the Weare, the Board of Selectmen and the Weare Police Union are currently discussing. Okay? Now, note the word adopted. I don't want anything that's in the works. You know, the town administrator doesn't have to supply that to me. Does me no good until, you know, what you and the union decide. So I'd like that noted. I'd like this request noted in the minutes of tonight. Like I said, you know, I have to cover all the bases. Or acknowledge in the minutes that you've received that. And the other thing is, at the April, Jesus crow, as scripted as I have this. Sheepers, what a stoop. At the April 3rd meeting, no, I'm sorry, at the May 15th, that's tonight. Well, it was a couple of meetings ago, public comment, meeting before last, when I voiced my concerns, and I re-listened to some of that meeting, and you folks talked about public comment, and you've said it before, Chairman Hippler, you know, you don't answer, you know, questions. Sometimes, you know, you're blindsided, and I can understand that. So, but I did ask at that night, that, you know, who do I go to? You know, in the absence of, you know, no contact with the finance administrator. So you've had a little over a week to, you know, discuss that question. So I'd like an answer. Who do I go to other than the town administrator for, you know, something like this? Can you give me an answer, or do you need more time to come up with who do I go to?
Well, the board hasn't discussed it, I can tell you that.
Okay, so just like the response from the town administrator. All right. Now, if you remember, I know my time is probably done. The public hearing for the transfer station fees, I had asked the board, I said, you know, you still keep track of it, et cetera, you know, how often, and you know, look what I have in my hands.
You're there.
They're there.
No, you're there.
And
Time-wise, you're there,
okay,
so.
okay,
Okay.
thanks a
Great.
lot.
Reply.
Okay.
First of all, it wasn't 4/8, it was 5/8. I left the message when I came downstairs because I was gonna ask which MOUs he was referring to so I could bring him downstairs in case he was coming. To this date, again, I have not heard back from him. So,
I don't
have it
think-
right here. I have the two, but they're not what he wants. These are the two that you were all handed as to what we're going to discuss. Not what he's looking for, but what was discussed publicly. So, I'm not sure, it's not gonna satisfy the request.
Okay.
But I wanted to make sure that it wasn't 4/8, it was 5/8. It was last Monday night when I was coming downstairs.
Right,
If he
April
was
8th.
coming, I was going to make them available.
Right.
I was on my way downstairs. If
Bring
he
'em
was
down.
coming, I was gonna provide them.
Okay, that's what I was hoping with the, you know, what the
Yeah.
messages indicate.
Okay.
And she's right, but again, you know, not to make extra work, you know, for the town administrator, you know, and it's not necessary. That's why I put the word adopted in there.
Right. How are you trying to contact the town administrator? Via phone, email?
No, I don't do email, I do phone. I do
Okay.
landline phone.
And you're leaving voicemails for her?
Pardon me?
You're leaving voicemails for her when the mailbox is available?
Actually, the message, my first message on the one of two on April 3rd,
So you are, though? You are leaving voicemails?
yes.
Okay.
And
That's
that
my
was my
question.
issue.
That's my question.
You know, I thought she'd return my call.
That's my question. Okay.
And we did discuss it on May 1st, and we had asked, would you get back to him, and you said you would the next day.
I mean, I don't, how am I supposed to know what I'm supposed to give him? I do know now.
I understand,
So
but I
can-
guess I would have expected that question to have been on, not the 2nd, because you're off Tuesdays, but the 3rd,
Right.
and not the 8th.
Right, but a good share of the time, to my defense, if I have someone sitting there, I've explained to you all, I don't answer the phone. So I can take a glance to the side, I have caller ID. And a good share of the time, he hangs up before it gets there. And that's fine, and sometimes he does leave a message. I try to call him back if I remember that I saw it. But again, he left a message, and I didn't get back to him in time. But it's not, what I brought downstairs was what we were given,
Right.
because the other one is just the detailed one that we've approved,
Right.
which you approved when we were here and signed it.
Correct.
The other ones we're still gonna be discussing probably for the next round.
Right.
And if you would give me consideration, all right, I do. I only let it maybe 3 times. I figure, okay, she's busy or she's not there,
Okay.
all right? So, and sometimes she says, well, you didn't let it ring quite long enough. And why should I let it ring 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times? That's why I made a second call that day.
Okay.
I got through and I left the message,
Okay.
you know, for her to recall. I never heard. But likewise, you know, I don't sit around the phone waiting for, you know, if I leave a message with somebody, I don't sit around the phone for 2 days, you know, in hope, and I'm not saying this case specifically, you know, waiting for somebody to return my call. So I have an answering machine,
I understand that.
all right? So the message, okay, you know, so yeah, I think the phrase is phone tag.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Hey.
We're there.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
You know? I mean, I didn't get the message, I wasn't by my answering machine the night when she was on the way downstairs, because I was helping a friend, we got started late, I was helping a friend put new running boards on his truck.
Yeah,
you know?
understandable.
So I wasn't around the phone.
Okay.
So, but even if somebody says, okay, you know, I'll call you, like I say, I didn't listen to the complete message, because really I was out of frustration, honestly. So, but anyway, if you have something tonight that you want to give to me, I'll take it. I mean, I'd rather prefer the line of communications get opened up again. You know,
Yeah, that's
Selectmen have.
understandable. Understood.
Okay. So if that's
Understood.
possible, okay.
So what I have is not the ones that we've completed.
Adopted,
It's ones that are blank that we're going to talk about.
okay.
The-
Well,
I can get you the detail one, which is the only one that we've agreed to.
Okay.
But these two have been brought to us as you've been sitting here.
And you have to,
There you are.
discuss them. The board has to discuss them.
Well, we haven't yet, but
I
they were
understand.
discussed.
They will be, right, they
That's
will
why
be.
I
They were
put the-
discussed publicly, so there's your, I mean,
Okay,
you can have
So
those, that's fine.
50%.
That's what I was bringing down
That's 50%.
last week, but I didn't know if you were coming to the work session, that's why I called you.
no, because I got home after
Fair
6:30.
enough.
Fair enough.
No, okay.
Fair enough,
Thank
and
you
I'll
for the
get you
extra
the,
time.
and I'll
Yes.
get you the detail one.
Okay. You can call me and leave a message, and I will respond.
Tag, you're
Okay,
it.
thank you, I appreciate the concern.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
I'm gonna put partially fulfilled
Yep,
on his form.
that's fine. Yep. All right, the board discussion on the Invest NH grant.
Now we're getting going.
Yeah. All right,
What is the discussion about?
so the planning board tabled it, if I remember correctly, and gave it to us to read, consider, et cetera.
And this is the document?
That's the documents, yes. And there was concern raised by the planning board about the acceptance of the money and what it does, and what it binds the town to do. I guess that would be the best synopsis. If we accept it, it binds the town to do something.
To put in affordable housing,
Was it affordable or workforce?
affordable, I
I
believe.
thought it was workforce.
I didn't get a chance to read it like I should have.
Yeah, me either.
So,
I know it's been on the table and I should have.
I agree.
so I've read through all of it a few times.
Yep.
I have two separate concerns.
Okay.
One is about the wording of the proposal itself, the submission, which was accepted, and then, well, I guess what I'll mention first is in the acceptance, where they say, great, we do accept your application.
Yep.
Something that jumped out at me was Exhibit A, page 7. This is,
The scope of work.
yeah, so scope of work, grantee acknowledges, I'll just read it. Acknowledges and agrees that the funds awarded under this agreement will be used solely for purposes identified in this agreement. Funds are awarded for these purposes under Section 9901 of the American Rescue Plan Act. Then it's got some details for the grantee, for which grantee has not received payment or reimbursement from any other source, and the state has determined is an allowable purpose as defined in Section 9901. So when I saw that, ARPA, okay, so that's, I asked the question, where else have we gotten ARPA money? Came back, the first ARPA money was, everybody got it, every town, that went to the radios. But now, so, we are also talking about a command vehicle using ARPA money, which is under Section 9901, and so.
That was what I was gonna ask.
My question is, you know, I'm a layman, is this saying we cannot receive other money from 9901, in which case those two things conflict, the command vehicle and this, or is that saying we cannot receive money for this scope of work from any other source? And I kind of read it as we can't get 9901, and if it's 25,000 versus 75,000, I'm going with the 75.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So I have that question, and I guess I'll leave it to you. I can talk about this, or if anybody else wants to talk about that.
Yeah, I, like I said, I'm in the same spot as Benji is. I just I didn't get the time to read all through this. I mean, it's quite a bit of papers front and back here. But, I would have to lean to agree with your thought process on that is it an either or type thing, right?
Yeah, and then I'm also curious about the police grant. Does that have similar verbiage? Are we blocking
Restrictions.
ourselves from any other ARPA money?
Right, if possible, yeah. Okay. And then there was another one you had?
Yep, so a few parts in the submission itself, because so phase 1 is supposed to be about needs analysis and planning. So you do analysis and make some plans.
Okay.
But there are a few points where it basically says, this is the conclusion we're going to come to, which I think is kind of suspect. For instance, it really, in the opening itself, I'll kind of jump down to the middle. the very first summary paragraph. Related to, let me see, how can I summarize this? This grant will support an update to the 2005 Weare Master Plan to identify sections that are related to or impact upon housing development and drafting revisions to those master plan sections. So this is the part that jumps out, for the purpose of supporting increased housing supply. Well, we haven't done the needs analysis yet.
Right.
What if the analysis says we don't need that? But then we're saying we're going to do that. And then that same kind of concept jumps out a few times. On the next page, growth needs, that we will develop concrete recommendations. These aren't things that are required by the Phase 1 grant. It says, Goal A, revisions to those master plan sections for the purpose of supporting increased housing supply. But we don't know that we need that because we haven't done an analysis. Same thing, there aren't page numbers, but there's synthesis of input and updated master plan chapters. Same thing, chapter 5. These sections described below will allow for the development of goals that will directly support new housing. New goals will be developed to allow for zoning that supports mixed-use housing and employer-supportive housing options. And to the next one, adequate for meeting new housing needs. I had a question why, and I know this is just a ton, I'm sorry. Task 4, down below in the scope of work, meetings with planning board to be performed by member of the WMPUC with assistance. Why does that cost $2,000? We have 4 to 6 meetings with the planning board, town staff. There's not an additional cost for additional meetings. And the WMPUC is supposed to be a subcommittee of interested residents, business owners, town staff, and their consultant team to lead their master plan efforts. So I guess that's $2,000 for 4 to 6 meetings, so we're paying consultants $500 a meeting. That's, I don't know, seems like a lot of money. Likewise, the second to last page, consistency with master plan. The 2005 Weare Master Plan outlines multiple vision statements that complement, which is spelled wrong, the goals of this project, including where residents desire for, and it pulls out 4 of the bullet points from our master plan, and there are a bunch that don't apply to housing, that's fine, like
Open
a
space.
well-governed and organized town with positive leadership, active volunteerism, and a strong commitment to public services. That doesn't need to go in this document, but it includes 4 about housing, and then does not include, the one I'm gonna read, a town that seeks a better balance between business and residential growth so that the financial impacts of continued residential growth can be softened. Why wasn't that included in here? So I think that ends my red marks here. Summary is, I don't like it.
I mean,
I didn't gather that.
what happens with this is if we take the $25,000 grant, it's like we're being forced to do,
We're locked in.
we're locked in, and I don't think I want to do it.
Naomi, your signature's on here. Is this some kind of a template that you grabbed?
I was asked to sign it.
Okay.
After Southern New Hampshire Planning.
Put it together?
helped the planning board draft it.
See, there you go.
And
Yeah.
after the review, there was a second submission, and I was asked to be the contact person.
Okay. All right, I didn't know how I saw your signature on there, I just wanted to clarify.
That's all my role was. I
Okay.
didn't have the time to do this.
No, I didn't figure this was
I
you.
was gonna be the day-to-day person that was the contact person.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
not-
figure this was you.
And I'm not
Yeah.
questioning that.
No.
It's more, how did this get past the planning board?
Yeah, it seems very pointed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, pointed
We're gonna get-
yeah.
stuck with a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
we don't need.
Well, and like you said, it's pointed to pushing housing, period, right?
I
When
think
when
we've
I
got
think,
enough housing going on.
when I think in the past 8 years, I've heard here from that podium and from other ones is bring more business in, bring more business in, encourage the small business. It's not housing. So,
Yeah, housing leads to more kids in the school, which has a cost.
more strain.
More
Right.
More
use of the
taxes.
police, more use of the fire department, more use of the transfer station, more roads to plow. It does not offset the
Tax
tax
base.
revenue. Yeah.
Right, the tax, yeah. What's the other end of the table think?
Well, I think it's part of the governor's master plan to get what we're seeing happening in Goffstown and in other places is get affordable housing built. So they want their fingers in the pot, and this is pretty much all-inclusive to make sure they don't give us $25,000 and their fingers aren't in the pot. So I mean, we didn't apply for this, the board, right? This was something that...
This board did not, know.
Yeah, exactly. So this just sort of landed on us. What do you think?
Well,
Is
it
that
had to
the-
be,
is
my
that the
understanding,
question?
not to cut you off, was the planning board needed a vote from the Board of Selectmen for them to accept it.
Well, just like any, like the fire department.
Yeah, do they,
Right.
and are they still in favor of this?
Sorry, you go.
Yes, we never actually took a vote. It seems it's about,
It's split.
it's split. I wouldn't say how
Four.
much each way, but there's strong opinions on both sides.
There's a line in the sand.
Well,
Yeah.
we need to know that before we took a
I've been to
vote.
3 meetings and there hasn't been the same members yet, so I'm not quite sure if everybody's heard it or not, so.
We did receive an email from one of the planning board members. There it is right there. I couldn't find
Do
it.
you know what date that is?
That was on May 4th.
Okay.
Yep.
Should have seen that. I've been trying to catch up on that.
Saying that
Can you
he
tell
was
me which
against it,
member that
correct?
was?
It was Mr. Bolton.
Okay, I got it.
Yep, Mr. Bolton. And again, and it was basically to the point of promote low-cost housing. So,
I believe, and Amy probably correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they're looking for us to make a vote.
Mhm.
If we voted in favor, then the planning board would make a vote if they wanted it or not.
Right.
But it can go or stop here.
right. I mean,
And it's over, I think, is that, did I
Yeah, I
understand that
don't-
right now? Is that
yeah,
how the
do it, but-
process Gene is working?
Yeah, I
They
guess,
can't, I mean, they can't accept it, you
Right.
guys can.
we have to accept it because it's a unanticipated revenue,
That's right.
basically, the town.
But you made a very good point, it hasn't been the same group, and this was done before you even got on there.
Yeah,
You know, this was done way back at the end of the year.
Yeah, in
It was
February.
approved. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying that, you know, we don't have the same people, and now we've got a mixed group.
yeah, just, again, so are they recommending this to us to vote in favor of? I mean, we need a recommendation from them. Personally, I have zero interest in this.
Guess they're waiting for us
I'm
to
not in
say.
favor of this, and I have zero interest in it.
So they just gave it to us with no recommendation at all?
Right, because I mean,
Basically,
they
it's,
applied for it for a reason, whether it was right or wrong.
No, it's understandable.
And at the same time, the town can't accept it without you guys, so.
Right.
That's where we are. They pushed the table out to June to see what you guys are gonna do.
we discussed talking to Southern New Hampshire planning, but if it stops here, then it's all done, right?
Yeah, I guess here's where I'm at. So I don't want to vote nay on this and then have Bruce Fillmore, or who's chair right now?
Craig.
Craig Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to at least hear from them, or
Or hear a vote number from them, if they held a vote.
I thought at one of the planning board meetings, we discussed possibly all getting together, Southern New Hampshire planning, them and us, and
Right. There's a board, the planning board, and Southern Hampshire Planning.
just trying to find a time between
Right,
now and the deadline.
But we
is the
wanted to
problem.
talk about it as a group first.
Right, yes.
Well, the discussion that the planning board had was, if we accept it, then they want to have that meeting.
Yeah,
But
well,
they
I don't
were
like that.
aware
I
that
don't
we
know that
could
it was an-
reject it.
I guess I didn't take it as an if.
Because the videos I've watched, they did not want to continue the discussion if we were just going to stop it here.
And it's my understanding that several communities before signing it invited the two groups together in Southern Hampshire Planning and talk about it. At the end of the day, it still may not change anything. You know what I mean? But it's entirely up to you.
well, I have not, to be honest with you, in the last week, I've been playing a lot of catch-up, and I have not reviewed this thoroughly. My initial read of it is that it's pretty well pointed towards workforce housing or low-income housing program that the state is pushing real heavy on small, rural communities. And I don't, without, again, seeing a specific need in our town for it. I mean, we don't have a new business that's opening that we need 100 jobs to fill with people. Or are we just gonna end up with a more diverse population and, are people gonna be exiting Manchester to come live here? I don't know. So I'm either gonna have to, you're gonna have to give me the next week to read this, and I'm gonna have to reach out to some people in planning to get some clarity on this.
Right. And, I mean, right in the first introduction of the Invest NH, it says, they'll increase housing supply, right there.
Yeah,
I don't,
Yeah,
We
so
don't
you-
need-
I think the grant was, there's X amount of dollars to be built in houses, and then there was another X amount that would allow upgrading of your ordinances.
yeah,
And that's, they didn't go to go build houses, which, that's what I think you're seeing in another community. Is, I don't remember the number of millions of dollars, but it was rolled out a while ago.
right.
And it was a division, there was, say, $5 million for, across the state to assist communities in updating their ordinances. And that's not well talked about here, but the Invest NH grant itself was, as you said, to,
Increase
you know,
housing.
to promote.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like apples and oranges to me, right? I mean, it's,
Yeah, well, it was a
ordinance is one
pool
thing,
and
and,
it was
yeah.
divided up,
yeah.
this much was gonna go to the guys that had shovel-ready projects ready to build.
Yeah,
That could apply for some of this offset. Then a small portion of it was to be used to assist communities to update ordinances and things like that. And I totally understand, because it doesn't express that. It is, I see what you're saying when it first.
everything I see is just says housing supply increase.
Yeah, and I think phase two was supposed to be more of the modifications, but we were kind of doing them in phase one, and phase two would have been, we didn't have to have so many strings attached in phase one. It's not jumping out at me.
I guess my pulse in respect to time is that this board is not ready to make a decision.
I would happily vote no right
I'd
now.
happily vote no.
Now, it may be a no and defer back to the planning board if they want to make an amended version, or.
Right,
The windows that you can't go back with it.
yeah. It is,
It's over.
it's in stone, accepted or
Either you
don't.
take it or you
Right,
walk away.
Right, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Because it's not another chance,
When do they need this voted on by?
I don't know, I don't think there's a
There,
time.
there was
There's a
verb,
timeframe to use the funds if you were going to say yes.
there was verbiage in here committing to starting things at the beginning of the project, which was supposed to be June of this year.
But I think the overall, you have to spend it by, right there. Completion date has to be the first page of the actual agreement, says July 31st of 2024.
So,
Because there's no, every month they're looking for a progress report, which ours is nothing, because we don't have anything.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to use it if you're going to accept it by July 31st.
right, I mean, if I had to pressure vote tonight, it'd be a no. But, just because there's too much of that housing push, which I don't feel this town needs. New business.
Yeah, I mean, it's real, there's a real obvious agenda here, so, I mean, identify barriers to housing development, and get rid of them.
Right.
Yeah, so I just personally, I don't really care if there's a majority vote no. If I could make a phone call and talk to Bruce
I
or.
don't want to shut down the discussion, and I don't think there's any, if, the way it's written, there are just too many holes. I don't know that I could be convinced away from no from further discussion. Especially with the window closing, because part of what like, I don't wanna waste their time either, the planning boards.
Right.
If that's where we're gonna end up, and maybe we just bite the bullet, and there we go, and then move on.
Yeah, again, it doesn't sound to me from the ex officio that the planning board is all on board with this either.
No.
Not every member, no.
No,
They
so,
were at the original time.
at the original time,
They
right,
were in January.
right.
They were pretty much, and that's why they asked me if I would sign
Right.
and apply.
No, I understood.
And, you know, and now we've made a change, and it's now in the forefront. There's been different people coming to the meetings, which is fine. People have things going on, but at the same time, probably shouldn't have spent that much time to move forward without a whole consensus.
No, I don't.
Is
And
the-
maybe we should have been consulted first.
Yeah,
Before
it took
we
right
made
off,
this
yeah,
first submission and second submission. And,
right.
you know, because typically you guys need to approve it. So here we are, the horse is out of the barn, and you get an agreement, and now it's time to.
Yeah, so back in January, real quick, and I won't prolong this because I know it's getting late for everybody, but back in January, did they think that this money was gonna be able to use for us because we want to revisit the zoning overlay
Well,
map?
it's largely, and again, it's in a small portion of it, talks about certain chapters.
In ordinances.
Right,
and-
it talked about, you know, the different chapters that they were going to choose to update.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, when it got thrown on the table originally, though, did it just look like some free money to help with this rezoning?
I think that's what.
That's what it kind of came out as, and then.
And then here we
then
are with the fine
Yeah,
print.
it drilled down to the fine
Because
print,
it
which is
started
this.
way back when you were doing warrant articles, because the year before that.
Yeah, because we are.
applied for
We put
$20,000
$20,000 to the warrant.
Exactly.
And it went
And
down
then
flames.
It went down.
Yeah.
And then this came out, and I think the thought was, instead of asking the taxpayers another bite at the apple for 20,
Right.
then we would take this and get a start. But
Okay.
as it's
That-
all rolled
that-
together and different people have taken
It doesn't
a
seem-
more look at it.
It doesn't seem like it's that.
Those questions probably should have been asked first, other than a submission, but I know that was the thought
Okay.
in December and November when they were gonna apply for it, or January when we applied for it.
I'd like to make a motion.
That's,
see what happens.
That's what you can do.
I move that we reject this grant agreement between the town of Weare and the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Call the vote. All those in favor of not accepting the grant, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain,
Okay. So,
and just to make it clear, my abstention is just because of lack of preparation.
Yeah, and again,
Just lack of preparation.
yeah, I appreciate that, and I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to shut it down, but
Okay, no, I'm good with the board. It's not that I'm opposing the board, it's just,
yeah.
I'm being honest, I am not prepared.
All right, finalize the mailer text bill insert, which, thank you, Salem, looks very good. Appreciate that.
Oh, I had it right here. No, I can't.
I know, there's a lot of,
Got
we
some
got,
paper here.
we got half a ream tonight, so.
Oh, yeah.
empty Word doc till like Thursday evening, and it just kind of came together.
Yeah, Salem, it should be,
I had
it
it
should
here.
be recognized, though, that this is work that's, above and beyond your job description or commitment as a board member,
Yeah.
so greatly appreciated.
Yes, very much so.
Maybe.
And there was a couple back and forths, after you submitted it, and those were injected?
Yes, so, and just, to it's the very bottom,
Here you
calling
go.
out,
I have it on my phone.
so the addition, the modifications between draft 1 and 2, the very bottom line to the front page is added, use of transfer station will require vehicle stickers as of October 1, 2023, just to be very clear. Hey, this is a mandate coming. Same thing, line above is modified a little bit. It used to say, are provided something like when you register a vehicle, now it's town clerk. So if you've registered and you don't have one, just go back there and
Get one.
you'll get one.
Yep.
And then I filled in the numbers, I had put X, Y, and Z, so in
As
these.
far as the
Yeah.
85 and 1030?
Yep.
Okay.
I'd love if someone could double check my math, cause that blew me away. I did, I picked the one that ended up being the best, math-wise, aluminum cans, a ton of aluminum cans. If you put them in the dumpster, it costs $85 a ton for us to get
Yep.
rid of them. If we get paid by NRA, we get $1,030 per ton. So,
And actually, by the way, the number's fine, we're not gonna change it, but just so you know, that number's right now with trucking is probably closer to 110 to 115
Right.
per ton.
Right.
the first number, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
yep,
'cause
yep,
and there's other similar associated costs, so, that numbers are, it's fine for this document, but it actually costs us more than the actual incineration charge.
And we do have to make an edit on the back, because now we do accept dry
We just
cell
spent 40
batteries.
grand,
Yeah, I mean-
we just spent 40 grand fixing the machine that gets it in the.
Yeah, so let's make
Right.
sure we got it right, yeah.
So-
Yeah, I ended up marking 3 things on the back, as you say, batteries.
Oh, yeah, the only one that's wrong on the back now is the,
We
the
do accept
mercury
dry cell.
thermostat.
Dry
So
cell
mercury should
batteries.
get scratched, and then I wanna say propane tanks, because it's more than just propane tanks now,
It's
now that we've
helium,
accepted.
there's
It was
helium.
yeah, it's a pretty good list.
I don't know what that is. No.
I don't know what you would call it. I'm trying to think what would blanket, like an air gas.
Well, I thought of pressurized tanks, but then people bring in it, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, propane, helium,
acetylene.
I mean, I think if
cetera.
you miss, for a mailer, I think if you miss
Yeah, I don't
the
think.
1 year acetylene, I don't,
Yeah,
all the years I was there, like 2 got dropped off because they are a lot of money if you don't return them back to the gas company.
Yes,
I
yeah.
know that. My
yeah,
brother left one in his garages that was under my name.
Yeah.
I left it in his garage, it was under,
yeah, they don't care for that.
$600.
Yeah, they don't care for that, so.
Yeah, I have one in my garage.
But, all right,
don't
so
return it.
we can get rid of the dry cell batteries, because we do accept those, it's $1 a pound.
and so this is section, we don't have to, the town does not have to pay to remove them. So, used oils stays here,
Yep,
batteries stays here.
yep, dry cell
Dry
batteries
moves down to the
moves down to the
bottom.
required
Bottom,
fees.
and they are accepted.
Yeah, they're accepted, but they'd be on the list.
And,
Yeah.
mercury is scratched, because that's now accepted. Items with mercury are now accepted for free.
Yeah,
And so, dry cell.
If anyone actually reads
They're
this, it'll be grand.
$1 a pound, I think he said.
Well, none of these have prices on it.
right, none have prices, but it's a required fee.
Yeah.
So, if we make those changes as far as putting the dry cell at the bottom and
cell,
omitting
scratch
the mercury,
Something about,
yeah.
what is-
Propane tanks, maybe we put parentheses, other tanks accepted, see transfer station list.
Yeah,
see-
I mean,
see
you
attendant.
have a great catch-all there,
Yeah.
Salem, where it says items required, see website to ask attendant for latest fee
Yeah.
schedule, so.
I think we just leave it alone.
Yeah,
honestly.
I
I
wouldn't,
think it's great.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
spend much
Because it-
more time on this.
the revenue items are thought of as recyclables, right?
Right.
Newspaper's a huge recycle. It's not getting revenue today, it might
Right.
tomorrow, but that's good enough.
And then,
Yeah,
just to say it, that there's a draft note that says.
yeah, we can take that
Scratch
out. The only thing I would request is if we do approve this, which obviously we're going to, is make sure that within a window, that the current fee schedule get posted to the website. Within the window that people start getting their tax
Before
bills.
they get their taxes.
What are you looking at changing on the back?
So,
Just dry cell batteries.
All right, so you have used oils and batteries, and then parentheses, dry cell batteries.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's
cross
getting-
that out.
Batteries and the dry cell?
So it
No.
will say used oils and batteries.
the parentheses part will be moved down to the bottom, and it will say dry cell batteries.
So I suppose it should say non-dry cell batteries. Used oils and non-dry cell batteries.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Non-dry cell.
Wet batteries.
Well, Salem, you already have the template saved to your house. You
Yeah,
can
I'm
make
hap-
these quick
Yeah.
It's
and
in
send them
the-
over.
it's in the-
Oh, I did send the word.
Yeah,
Wet batteries, I think they call them.
yeah.
So what's it called?
Well,
Non-dry cell or wet?
I would say wet.
They're technically, their hazmat name is wet filled. Wet filled with acid.
But I have gel,
For the-
I
for
have
the-
a gel battery, so could you put gel in there?
I don't know, I just would say.
I don't know if jellos are accepted.
I just would say batteries, maybe.
Yeah, just
Maybe
leave it
on the
batteries.
down bottom, just move the dry cell batteries down. on
So
the
that they see
propane
it as a
tanks.
break in the action, that's all.
Yeah, I don't think many people
Yeah.
know if they
Take
have
out
a
mercury.
Yes, because that's now accepted for
freebie.
free. So we're just gonna take that off.
And the note up at the top that says draft note needs to go.
Yep. Okay.
Now, I'm gonna throw the RSA at you, just because that, as I told you in an email today, it had been surfaced around because it's that time of year. Under RSA 7611, there is, I think it's in your mail, partway down the first section starts, on the left-hand side, it says revenue administration, and then it starts a new sentence. It says, said bills shall be mailed separately and not included in the mailing of other town or city bills unless the governing body or town or city votes to mail other town or city bills or information directly related to the days for business along with the tax bill. Under no circumstances shall a town or city mail statements of position, which we all know that. So I'm just, I mean, if you're taking it, and wanna run with it, I'm just saying that there's a lot of feedback out there that it's not allowed by a lot of communities. I'm just saying up front that 7611 is what has been going around, but I could never get an answer directly to that, so I point that out to you.
When you say going around, what does that mean?
So in the listserv, I'm part of the listserv for tax collectors, for GFOA, which is government finance, for town administrators. And because of the tax bill situation, first halves are getting ready to go out, there's been questions bounced around as, and they put flyers, is what they kept calling them, into the tax bill. And then this was referenced, but I did email and say, this is what we're looking at putting out, can someone tell me if it's right or wrong? And I didn't get an answer today. So the only thing in the weeks past, this one here, this 7611 has come up. So I'm just saying, you need to be aware of 7611 in case somebody wants to come back to us and say, hey, you're not supposed to put extra stuff on it, because we didn't have time.
Yeah. I really appreciate it. I love reading RSAs. But this one, it says don't include it with other bills, and because it's defining it's a tax bill, we are not including another bill, and so that scratches kind of the first part of that. And then under no circumstances shall a city or town mail statements of position on matters of public policy. So that's the part that may apply more, but
I just
I don't-
want you to be aware of
yeah,
that.
no, I think it's great.
I was brought aware of it.
I think it's great,
I
but
did not get an answer directly to the flyer that I shared.
yeah.
But again, this was surfaced last week, the 7611, and he said, this is what we're doing. Does someone tell me yes or no?
So,
And I didn't get a yes or no, but I just wanted you to be aware of 7611.
I think you can fly in under the radar if we only print the front page.
How's that?
It's only when you get into discussing fee schedules on the back page that you would cross over that next.
It's not really even a fee schedule, it says we're charged for these things.
Opposed to the front page is essentially a newsletter.
Well, because I
think
don't.
the back kind of is a newsletter too, really.
Yeah, I don't think the back is either a bill or a position on matters of public policy. Because I feel like that's trying to catch,
I'm fine with it.
make sure you vote on Article
Trust me,
5.
I mean, you guys can vote on that. I just wanted
Yeah.
you
No,
to share
appreciate
Yeah,
what
no, I
got.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're gonna get flagged either way. The only time we ever start talking about, yeah, there's no fee structure on here, it just talks.
And
yeah,
we've done
fine.
it, I think with Rick in the past, and, we have put on, but it's been more so the exemptions and elderly and all the
Saw that
other
one,
exemptions we
2017.
have, which is tax bill related.
Right.
This is not, it's tax bill
yeah.
related in a roundabout fashion, but it's not particularly to the
It's not a
bill.
position. It's not a position
But
either
we're
of the
not
To
town.
the
pushing
bill,
No.
but to the bill, you would be looking for an elderly, you'd be looking for veterans, you'd be looking for other things. So that's what we've included in prior ones. In years past, that's what we included was a mailer. And what we're going to do is, there is an RSA, and it gives a very good definition to all the campers, because all the abatements that you guys have, because people decide to pull their camper out in the fall, they're still responsible for that. So what we're gonna do when we print is we're gonna be provided with a list of all the campers. And they're gonna get the camper notice, which will be very helpful with us, because the rest, we'll do our best, but, you know, residents, as we know, there's people that own property in another state. They won't get a dump sticker, but, you know what I mean? We can't just take 5,000 bills and take each one and figure
No.
out if
No,
something's
no, no.
there. But we can keep them out of the camper ones per se, because the question was asked as of a resident.
Right. So I would, in viewing 7611, I would opt to remove the reminder for the transfer station vehicle stuff, because that is a policy that was set up here, and there is a cost attached to it if you go and you want more than 1 or 2 stickers.
Have you set a policy? Policy, like written policy?
No.
I think it's gray. I just think it's gray,
No, but I'm
because,
just saying, you say we have a policy, but have we
It-
put a policy?
well, we, as this board, have consensus to that we want the
There's a
10.
consensus, yes, but I don't know that you,
We didn't write any.
No, I think it's gray water myself.
okay.
Everything else, to me, reading this to this, is informational. The revenue's informational, hazardous waste is informational, all of this is informational, even the back is informational. But that was something that has cost implementation to it, to the resident. Because if I want to get 4 stickers, I have to buy a couple extras.
And can you clarify for me, just backing up, what was the part that has not actually been put in policy?
There's question whether.
Consensus.
Yeah, there's a consensus
It's not a policy.
that the board was gonna have the town clerk hand out the,
Okay.
and there was also a fee attached to it to recoup the cost of the stickers. That,
No, there's no fee.
No, there is no.
up to 2. I can't go in there and get a roll of 6.
No, but
You got to.
you could, up to 2, period.
Right, but what if I want 6? Well, I
You
gotta
have to
buy,
pay for the other one.
then that's policy.
Right.
To me, that,
Yeah, but we don't have that policy
but to
written.
me, that, well, you just said it, so is it consensus as board, or what?
Well, we're just saying, we're thinking that way, but I think we need to put it in writing.
Well, does that, Ricky, I guess what I don't understand, and what, I guess I maybe missed your entry into this is only stating the fact that we are now, as of October 2023, are going to enforce what is already a regulation that no one can use the transfer station without a sticker.
I would,
That's always been there. You have to be identified as a resident.
I would-
And we realized we only had about 20% of the residents with stickers. So, it was tough to identify if a guy walks in with a tax bill, the attendant was handing him, and he might just own a sliver piece of property, he's paying
Yeah.
$2 for taxes on, lives in Massachusetts.
I
he
get it,
shouldn't be
I
at
get
the
it.
dump.
No, I get it.
So, the hope for that statement, which I find to be critical, is that come October, we don't have a bunch of people standing up here and saying, you never told us that.
Right, and I can understand, 100% understand that. But again, I don't wanna even come close to treading on this RSA. And to me, yeah, we can say transfer station vehicle stickers are now obtained at the clerk's office, that's just informational.
Right.
But when it says require, that's policy. Whether
We
it's.
already have that as a policy.
No, it's gonna require it on October 1st. Yes, I understand that it's somewhere it says that, but now this is new policy, and I would not be in favor of leaving that line on there. Everything else is fine, to me it'll fly, but that right there, when it says require, that's policy.
But then how are we going to inform the entire resident population that we are finally going to make sure that the only people that are using our transfer station can be identified as residents? That was the whole
What
purpose
about
of
a
this.
sign ASAP at the transfer station? So you got, 6 months to,
I mean, can we just change,
I'm not
use of transfer station does require vehicle stickers, and it already does. So let's just change to does require. Change that, because we already have that as a policy.
That was voted on by the voters or by this board?
No, it's by the state.
I think you've always had stickers, we just changed them this year.
The only thing we change is how you acquire them. But
I've
you
never
always
had a
have to have
sticker
a
on my
sticker.
car.
I think you have to be identified as a resident. I can probably find it for you real quick, but it's just like, we are not even allowed to accept any trash at our
I'm
transfer
not-
station that's not generated inside this town. And the only way that we could possibly do that is identify the people that are dumping the trash live in this town.
I'm not disagreeing with any of your statements, Kevin. I'd love to put it in there, 100%, the way it's written. I think it's great. My thing is I don't want to even come close to treading on this 7611.
But I'm not real clear how, anyway, I just,
Yeah, I don't think it's a statement of position.
Okay.
On a matter of public
if
policy.
if that's the board, that's, but
I feel like you take a position on, you should vote this way.
I would then, as a board member, not the chair, as a board member, I would request a vote for this to be put in the town mailer.
So what, I think it's good too, and it's late, we need to vote on it. It probably doesn't change your position on it, but kind of to what you just said, what if we just say use of transfer station requires vehicle stickers? That way people aren't like, oh, good, I got till October 1st.
To me, it's still a policy, so.
but again, the whole purpose of this too is so that the people that we're asking to enforce this have a tool that is just what they don't have, right? You know, I mean, as I stated to you, Ricky, I brought this to your attention the last time I visited the transfer station. I am witnessing someone from another town, but the attendant can't identify that person, and the only reason they're there is because their town's transfer station was closed that day,
Right.
so they come to Weare.
Kevin, I don't disagree with any of what's written here. I don't disagree with any of the thought process this board is trying to implement. I don't disagree with any of that. I think it's movement forward. Again,
How do we
don't
already
know.
have the policy.
Okay.
So how do we state it as a reminder?
I don't know.
I think we understand each other's side, I guess we need to decide if we're gonna
Yeah,
make
I
a
just
vote.
request a vote, that's all.
The weird, so, 'cause I quit reading,
Can be-
so,
Why-
said bill shall be mailed separately and not included with mailing of other town or city bills. Great, we're not doing that because it's not a bill. This is not a bill, so it's
Correct.
not, okay. Unless the governing body of the town or city votes to mail other town or city bills or information directly related to municipal business along with the tax bill. So that's weird to me because the first half says not included with mailing of other town or city bills unless you voted to directly
Allow it.
allow information directly related to municipal business.
Right,
That
from the
doesn't make-
governing
those-
body.
Those things, that doesn't line up to me. But I would say this is information directly related to
Right.
municipal business. But I don't read this as saying we can't send it.
Okay.
It's weird.
No,
I think this is poorly
it's poorly written.
defined a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm only concerned that we're gonna get backlash when it comes time for us to.
October 1st.
Yeah.
No, I
That's
don't
the
disagree.
whole thing.
I think you're gonna get backlash regardless. Even if you do this, you're gonna get backlash. Even if you parade it through the 4th of July parade, you're gonna get backlash. And right, wrong, or indifferent, there's gonna be backlash. But we can say, hey, we did our due diligence.
Yeah, and I mean, this is common everyday stuff.
No, you're
in
right.
every other community,
Yeah, I'm
know.
not denying any of that at all, so.
so it's just, again, that was,
So,
Well, and maybe either I'm stupid or we're all tired here, but it says unless the governing body of the town votes to do that. Well, that's us. We're the governing body. The people are the legislative body.
right, which I would agree. This is the governing body.
So we'll just vote to do it.
Just vote to do it. Right, and I think that's what it's
I
gonna
think
take.
that's what he's asking us to make a motion.
I want this
Yeah.
official
No,
motion.
sorry, I just,
Place this in the tax bill with, whatever amendments we made earlier.
Is there a second?
yes.
It's moved and seconded, all in favor.
I,
I'm gonna oppose.
No opposed?
I'm opposed, yeah. It's getting late, I think Benji said right there.
About enough tonight.
Alright, so, you want me to just change the word so we can start putting them tomorrow?
Yeah,
Change.
Hey, we're just moving those
change,
couple
change
things
what,
away.
I'm
whatever you
gonna
had done
take
tonight.
off the draft note.
Yeah, got it.
I'm gonna,
I think you said the word. It's
yeah,
like, there was
sorry,
more
I'm
than a
gonna-
word.
just sorry, it
Yeah,
is
no, okay,
late. I'm
that's
gonna
fine.
take draft note off.
Yep.
I'm gonna take, the comma, dry cell batteries are not accepted, just remove that part and move it to the bottom. And then
scratch
take out mercury.
Yep.
Amen.
Good enough.
All right, we did the manifest, we'll move the minutes.
We did.
12:19,
12:19 we haven't done.
and we needed, I think we needed Kevin, because there was only me and Kevin here. Kevin, you ready to go?
Where am I now?
12:19, 22 minutes.
Yes, I've read them, and I
Okay.
accept them as written.
Sounds like a motion to me. I'll second it. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Guess we have to abstain when we're in here.
Not gonna
All
abstain,
three
I
is-
wasn't here.
There you go. Okay, perfect. That was quick. Love it. All right, moving on to 5-1. May 1. Anything on May 1st?
No.
Was that a motion to accept as written?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Second?
Okay, I got a motion.
And Sherry seconded. As read.
I look like I better start the timer on her.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Abstain. I wasn't at the
Somebody wasn't
meeting.
here. Yep. And the 8th.
Make a motion to accept as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Stand by.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? Okay.
Who seconded it? Benji?
Then. Bring us to your report.
Couple things, Benji and Salem, I issued you guys fobs for the back door. You have to know that if you lose it, you owe $20 for a replacement, so you guys can.
Okay.
She knows where you
received
live.
it. I'm also gonna
Garnish your
pass
wages.
down- So you also appointed Craig Francisco and Malcolm Wright.
Yep.
Malcolm hasn't come in to be sworn in, but new forms have you guys appoint him on the bottom. Maureen asked for that. Sorry, it's getting late. Alright, now I'm gonna get to,
I did get that right, yeah.
I mean, it's got a number on it, I gotta take the number.
So it requires 3 signatures?
yeah, just
Just
at
one,
least 3
please.
of you.
Fine.
Is there 4 lines or 3?
3.
Alright, I'm gonna just quickly go down through DPW, we did get the driveway barns done, Jason, I did that after I printed my materials. So you did the mowers.
This is tough one.
He's been trying to get hold of the truck company for T3.
Oh.
Because we have a $70,000 check that we're not going to accept until we know where we're at with T3.
Okay, I'll get a hold of Jay. I'll call over there, find out what's
You know,
going on.
you know where it is? Okay.
Yeah, it's over coastal.
Okay, and then we
Uh,
got transfer station. Yes.
We don't have to sign the second one, right?
You have to sign both of them, and then she's going to
Oh,
have
really?
the reappointment. What?
We're gonna sign it before he is sworn in?
I put one that's been signed that you haven't sworn in yet,
Okay.
that I haven't brought downstairs. There was nothing for the
Sorry, I think
PD, you guys got email, but we'll have to talk about that whole camera situation with the PD.
Yeah, but we can sign.
We did swear him in.
You guys do remember
Malcolm.
Thursday night?
Right.
Thursday night, yes.
Thursday night here, 6:30, we can't do anything until 6:30.
Okay.
Well,
No, 6:30.
What was it for again? I'm
This
gonna
was-
do my best.
to the MOUs.
This was the MOUs.
Basically, and you guys
Three
did Chase
signatures there.
Parkfield, on the Parks and Rec Conservation, I haven't gotten hold of the state yet. The only one left, I did finalize the custodial contract this week. She's starting to clean the town hall again.
Okay.
You guys, where it's been closed, today was the first day we've actually used it for the dog thing.
Yep.
Do solid waste, we do need to pick a time and a date, you guys have all that information.
Mhm.
That's just sitting there lingering. DPW job advertisement I have on the 22 work session. You guys finalized the job description on 5/8.
Mm-hmm.
Police, we kind of put that one on hold.
Mm-hmm.
Ethics, our meeting on the 15th and 24th, at least that I know of in May at 6 o'clock. RFP for auditing you took care of.
What's the,
Triangulation with
What's the what?
Dunbarton.
what's that day, the 15th, that's 17th, is that a Wednesday?
That's this Wednesday.
Yeah, they meet the first, third, and fourth Wednesday at 6. Triangulation with with Dunbarton. Did he include you guys in that email back to me?
Yes.
Okay. So he'd like to do it in October, I think, in the
yep,
fall
that's
time.
great.
So you guys will stay in touch. I am gonna send out one to the neighboring towns similar to that, but I haven't got to that. My schedule is off tomorrow. Actually, I'm not off tomorrow. I'm gonna bring my granddaughter here so we can do tax bills, so she's gonna learn how to do those at 2.
Perfect. She can look the envelope.
Donation, so if you've been by the town office during the daylight, we have a senior project that's outside on the lawn as a picnic table. It was, donation was constructed, donated, delivered, and it's been used a couple of times by Beth's daughter as a senior project. You have to accept the donation, if you so choose. The idea would be that in the winter, it will fit behind the Jersey barrier and be out of the way for plowing. But it does, we always had a picnic table for people to go outside during lunchtime when it's not too hot, not too buggy, to enjoy outside.
I hate to be a stickler on this, but usually we hear the senior projects before they arrive. When the Boy Scouts do their stuff, we always hear about it first, et cetera.
All right,
I'm not saying we don't accept it, I'm just, we're kind of backwards here. I mean,
just like the grant,
right,
right?
so, I'll move that we,
Did we
Small
know,
amount of money.
did we know it was coming?
I think during the senior projects, my kids have been out of school for a long time, but you have to submit something that's out of your element.
right,
So you submit a project,
Mhm.
and the school goes through it with the guidance and goes through all these criteria, and they approve it.
right.
So they approve something,
So
Right.
she didn't build it with the idea that it was gonna be donated here, she built it and then they
no,
decided.
her idea was to donate it here
Okay.
all along.
All right.
I understand totally what you're saying, but that's how the school does the senior projects.
No, I understand that, just usually, like I said, when we had the tap of the tree, they asked us first, when they did the,
Very good.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might want like.
I move to accept the donation though.
Right.
You're ready to go. are you?
And I'll second it. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Just a formality.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Nope, I get it. Solar, they opted to cancel, they're gonna coordinate a future date, I just let me know when they're ready.
Okay.
I don't know, I haven't seen Walker Roofing, have you, Sharon?
Yeah, they called, they were supposed to be here last Friday, they had a big, they had something happen in the building over
I'm
there.
gonna leave them on until
Canceled.
someone tells me it's done.
Yeah,
I don't know if any of you know, the front door lock on the town hall, right-hand side door, it's been pulled out.
Oh.
I think the thought was that they were gonna go register their car there
Oh.
because there was some paperwork. I went over to clean the signs and there was somebody pulling on it.
they pulled the
And
lock
see,
out of the
before,
door.
what happened is the guys were there doing the bathroom.
Right.
So there was cars there.
Yeah,
Now there's no cars there, and it says you're open to register your cars. So I went over and I said, can I help you? And I sent Jason over to fix it. Kevin's gonna take a look at it, but the door handle on the right-hand side is out. I've pushed it back as far as I can push it back, but it's gonna be taken apart.
Okay.
So the left-hand side of the door still works, which is the door that was used.
Did I?
I think you could still open both, but you can't use the
Somebody
lock.
opened the right one and everybody just kept holding it open
Yeah.
for the next person.
So that's going to be looked at. The generator's still on there, the town office vault, I rescheduled from last Thursday to this Thursday. I may have to move it again, cause the cage hasn't been put in place yet,
Okay.
so keep that moving.
Okay.
Have we done the service on this boiler?
no.
We gotta call and schedule that.
Can you say that again? The service on what?
Call for the
Our boiler
service.
down here,
Okay.
The water
Yeah.
boiler.
it's just, we were waiting for heating season to be
No, I
over.
just didn't hear.
And we okayed the repairs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because there was a list of minor repairs.
Can I just give
to
him a
be done.
call?
Yeah, he's all ready, waiting. Remember, he actually,
Cause someone from there reached out to me to schedule Todd.
Yeah, that's the guy, yeah. And we've already agreed to, and actually, we don't want it to, if we don't get it done, it's gonna cost more money. They're gonna come back to us with a change order.
Sorry. Correspondence, I just think you addressed that unless you guys.
Yeah, we did. I had one that came to me regarding Oak Hill. The resident thought there was some extra erosion, so just wanted to have it checked out. We got our grant back from Jason for the compactor. We didn't mention that, but we did get that grant, the 20%.
$5,000, right?
Yeah, there was a correspondence about some trees up on East Shore, 80 and 84.
Yeah.
Don't know if the board wants to talk about that tonight or not.
Well, I think.
I think
it's
we
my
already,
understanding
we
that
already,
Jason and
we already
Kevin went
agreed,
out.
we've already talked about that.
Yeah, just as long as we ain't paying it, right?
Right. That's what I remember watching.
That's kind of what I remember, is that
I remember that discussion.
Wait, what was it?
We're not paying for it.
if
No,
we're
we
not,
weren't gonna take them down, they're really healthy trees.
oh, that's right, Jason did go out and look at them, he said they're
Oh, I
perfectly
did too.
healthy.
Both Kevin and
Yeah.
Jason met.
I did,
Okay.
yeah, there was no reason to take them
But,
down.
but the email, did you just say, I mean, the email, I believe, which I didn't print, my apologies, was they wanna take it down because of the limbs on the house or something.
Yeah, leaning
Yeah.
over the house.
I wasn't on the board, but I thought, I remember the meeting, I thought it just didn't want to pay for it, and then people said they were willing to pay for them.
Right.
Well, the whole, I guess it's whether or not you want it. What, the reason is they want sunlight, and that's why they want the trees out of there. It's in a right of way, the trees are perfectly healthy trees. There's no reason to take them down, except it's going to improve. They're currently using the property to store things. You know, it's stuff that's been there for 20 years.
It's still,
Some other
we're
stuff
still
isn't.
talking about the same lot, right?
Yeah, these are the lots. I read the
Okay.
email today. So it's just whether or not you want to grant a citizen public town property
To cut trees.
to cut trees, which you're setting a precedent.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not
but
okay with
you're
that.
saying it's because they want sunlight, they're saying it's because trees are leaning over their houses.
The trees are only, the trees are where they've always been. There's no, they're just getting, they've doubled the size of the cottage, you know, and now they want to open the property up, so they're taking all the trees down. But the trees that are on our property or the town's property, the taxpayers' property, don't pose any imminent danger to their homes. They're healthy trees. These aren't like dead trees, like these aren't trees that have been attacked.
I guess, I mean, I don't know, might be worth something to discuss it next week now, because I cut trees, I've cut hundreds of thousands of trees.
You? No, I don't believe
I
it.
couldn't look at a pine, I could look at a pine tree, tell you for sure if it's rotten, but I couldn't look at one and tell you that it's not rotten.
Right.
And where all the building and the road's been around there, I can't hardly imagine them things. I don't like them over my house, pine trees, but
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
this
I'm
might
not-
dredge onto a
yeah.
longer conversation.
Yeah, I'm just
that's all.
saying that this wasn't
Yeah.
like, you know, a failing
That
tree.
thing
when we
wasn't
were-
45-degree
when we-
angle on the
When
house
we were
type
looking
thing.
at it, you
Right,
know,
right,
this
I get it.
runs down to the lake. There wasn't any apparent, you know, splitting
What day
or.
are they getting, do you have any, what day, where are they getting, because they said they're trying to consolidate tree services.
May 31st.
Yeah, so we
And it's not that you're, in any way, I can understand their motivation, it's just, are we opening up a precedent for
Give it May
someone?
12th.
I'm just-
The town owns a lot of land next to a lot of people's homes, and they would like to maybe increase their solar arrays, so could they cut 20 of our trees down,
Right.
right?
So.
Are we
can you
gonna
do this,
start
though?
okaying that?
You've gone by 80 and 84 is the number.
You can't miss
And
them, they're
there's-
both under
you-
construction.
Yeah, both, but it's got 7 pictures attached to it.
Can you buzz up and take a peek?
Yeah. I
If you
don't
guys
mind.
wanna take a peek at it and then.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
decide
take a
Throw
peek.
it on next week, straight.
Quickly put
Yeah.
together.
I think
I'm dealing with a similar thing next town over, town property, and guy don't like them, and we're having to make it's a big deal. I think
Yeah.
it might be a 10-minute conversation, so.
That's fine.
And we have another public comment between now and their date on the 31st.
Yeah.
They could
Come talk to us.
talk to us.
Yeah, okay.
Or request to get on the agenda and
Actually, you
maybe.
don't have one between.
Oh, you're right,
No,
you're right,
because the
you're right.
29th is a holiday.
Holiday, yeah. So,
You could come in, but we won't be here.
Break the front door.
Yeah.
You've got the fob, you can come
Well,
in.
it's kind of, it's, like I said, it's an obvious who cares, except are we creating a precedent?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, there's another issue there in itself too. If you cut the pine tree down, is it gonna affect, if it's right near the lake, is it gonna be an erosion issue?
Right.
It's pretty well established land, but it's
I think we
just,
could talk about it for about an hour.
I wanted, first thing I said is let's, and sell them half of the right of way, because the right of way is useless to us.
Right?
I mean,
But the right of way is.
I understand,
Yeah.
yeah, I
It's
understand.
there for a
but-
reason, yeah.
Yeah,
So, okay.
And so, because if it's a right of way, then it's their property, but we have an easement, right?
I think we own the right.
No, we own the right of way. We own the right of way, yeah.
We took them for taxes back in, I'm guessing.
yeah, it's town land.
Yeah. So there's actually a written request on this.
Yeah,
So.
it was on, you got it on Friday.
Yep.
what time?
It might not hurt to buzz back up there, because Kevin,
Friday at 11:33, you guys got it.
right, because I don't know if they're as healthy as they were a couple years ago.
Oh, take
It was
a look
only-
and talk
It was
about it.
last month I saw 'em.
Oh, okay. All right, well, Ben's gonna take a stroll up there and.
We can talk about it.
It's heartless to take them out of there. They're already using our property to store old wheelbarrows and a rototiller and some other things. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Pile of lumber.
Lovely.
Anything else?
Yeah, we got one from a resident up on, off of Sugar Hill,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
about
yeah.
the cars parking.
The ice cream.
I don't know if there's anything we can do about it.
You guys get them, I don't.
Are you still included on board members?
Guess I must not be.
Guess not. Okay, well, I guess I'll forward them to you now, because I thought you would have been included in that. So, all right, regarding the ice cream stand and the busyness, and just, trying to control some of the parking.
Yeah, exactly. They were,
Yeah.
they're fans of the ice cream stand. They
Right,
like
they
it.
patronize, right,
Having gone up there on a Saturday to get a car out of the old barn up there when it's really busy on a nice day.
E.
It is
Yeah.
busy. And
Yeah.
Took the kids yesterday, so I know exactly,
Yeah.
I mean,
They
it
just
was,
wanted to know
like,
if
we
we-
were parked all the way in the
Sides.
back, and it's like, I hope nobody's coming the other way.
They just
Yeah.
wanted to know
Honestly,
if we
do.
could just, they weren't asking for us to make a rule and give them a
Nope.
hard time. They wanted us
Yeah.
to just reach out and see if
if there's anything.
Anywhere
Yeah.
else
make
to park
parking on the other
cars.
part of their property.
To me, wouldn't that be a,
Just on the busy days when,
could,
It's opening day, it's Mother's Day, and everybody went there.
would that be a Tony thing? I guess my question would be kind of code.
it certainly wasn't reaching out, giving them a hard time. However,
No, it was
You
just,
know,
it was
I mean-
like a question.
to get at the paintball park, and expand his parking when his business got busy, you know.
That's kind of what I was thinking, yeah.
In the interim, I mean, to avoid what is the hazard, because I frequent there too. And, is if those first like 2 spots to either side of the driveway were coned and not to be used, at least they give you somewhat of a sight line as you're pulling out, you know? I mean, because right now what happens is they park right to it, so you actually have to get into the other lane before you can exit. So if somebody's coming, especially the other direction, it is hairy.
I thought
I
that
thought, yeah.
Ryder actually had a couple decent suggestions, but without, been up that road 1,000 times, but not to look at that situation, I'd like to go take a look now, but he had a couple
Yeah.
suggestions that
Reasonable
wouldn't cost the
alternatives.
person any money,
Right, yeah.
Parking the parking lot across, if they clean,
Yeah,
move
I've
stuff
had-
around, or
Yeah.
they think that there's a little room to widen one shoulder a little bit, so the cars just move over half a car width.
Yeah.
That wouldn't really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly
And that's
wasn't
what-
looking
That's
at-
what it was yesterday, everybody on the
Yeah,
shoulder,
and
but
that'll
the
happen-
shoulder
and
is
that's
the
gonna
road.
happen on
Shoulder
your
is the
turn like
road,
yours,
yeah.
You wanna say
Right.
that or not?
I know.
I will forward you
Like
the,
yard sale day is just as bad.
I'll forward you the emails now that I know you're not getting them.
Well, I just don't know why you talked about, I did get the East Shore Drive, but I see that, East Shore Road one, but I was listed separately.
Okay. Yeah, this just went to board members.
Well, the other issue is there's the same thing. When you come out of there, you can't see because of the cars. But, I mentioned it to the chief one day, not too long ago. I ran into him, and the same thing happens right over here at the elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
They go in to
Center
pick up
Road,
the
it's
kids.
horrible.
They come in to pick the kids up in the afternoon or to let them off in the morning, and they're parked all the way along. So if you're coming back out on Center Wood Road onto 114, you cannot see the traffic coming from the center coming north, going north. And I've almost,
No, you brought it up in the meeting. You actually brought it up when the
Yeah,
chief was here.
and he didn't, nothing's been done about it.
It's kind of hard unless there's an officer there, which is one of the other suggestions, is to have somebody directing traffic, which is unreasonable. I've had to park down at the farm, because it's too busy, but.
I think it's worth discussing, and he brought it.
And really, that's all he was asking. He said, I would like to be heard at a meeting.
Yeah. So, okay, that's all I had.
I had, I forgot to even mention it, because I didn't really think nothing of it. Just had an email from a guy that lives on Beach Hill, just, when I was director, we emailed back and forth, we'll get there someday. He just asked, and I just told him I was no longer the director, that Jason was, and he could reach out to him.
Okay.
So, that was one of the subdivisions on the list.
Direct-
Irving Drive.
Directed, there you go, okay.
I'd be happy to tell Jason what my plan was, but he's got enough on his plate, and he ain't gonna afford it this year anyway, so.
Okay.
If we
Right.
have that meeting on the parking, can they bring a tub of maple vanilla? Put that on the invitation, please.
I have nothing to do with it.
I love that idea.
Work session agenda, I think we have that pretty well already set up.
I had one
Oh, you do? Okay.
correspondence. So we had our park meeting last week, I think.
Yeah.
And we had a discussion, and I was asked to make a request to decide if Park should spend any time working on this request. I'd like to explore allowing outside usage of the fields and other areas from people coming from out of town, not to overlap with existing schedules, so pretty much just the summer. Town groups would always get priority. That would be things like swim lessons, somebody from out of town and said, hey, we're doing like a Frisbee tournament nearby and we want a practice field. Soccer camps, and it was, we want to make sure not to tear up the fields, so it was, okay, get a security deposit from them.
Well, I think that would roll back to, and I think we've instilled it before, was when the gazebo was being used for functions like that, was basically you had to fill out a facility usage form, and we also went to basically back to I don't want to say a binder, but like you said, some kind of security deposit, but it may have to be tweaked for a field versus, the gazebo versus the town hall. Because, we have a $250 deposit or retainer for the town hall now, right? Or we did?
No.
I thought we did.
They looking to charge
$50.
for them?
$75.50, yeah.
Charge out of towners.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
So the question is, this is not a yes or no vote on let people do this. It is, should Park go and explore, spend the time to make a presentation to us later?
Where would the money go that you charge?
General fund.
General fund.
Yes.
So then,
I don't think the information brought in, nothing's wrong with it.
No,
I'm
that was the
gonna say
question.
it's gonna shoot them in the foot, though. It is, for years and years, they keep claiming they need more ball fields, because they don't have enough of the activities.
That's what I said.
Right, and that's the
It's
story I've
always-
heard, yeah.
and
Yeah.
If
And
there-
that's
if
why-
there's room
and
and
that's
they
why
make a
it
little
was-
money, I'm okay with it, but it's not gonna.
That's why the response was in the summer.
But the money's not going back to them, it's going to the general fund.
right, it should be.
And-
Yeah, that doesn't do with the money
It's
end.
going to the black, yeah, right, but it's going in the black hole, not to be maintaining the fields, et cetera.
There was a discussion about, well, what about what was written for the warrant article, but when I looked at the warrant article, it says money from Chase Park.
It's
That's
clear,
what was
that's
there.
very clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, that
I
is,
think
as you
might
say,
make the other side of the table happy that was unhappy that it's going in special fund, it's going in general fund.
It very well could.
I'm open to listening to stuff, I'm
open to listening.
for 20
Yeah.
years, there's been that argument, do we need more fields or not more fields, and that ain't gonna help them if they think they need more fields. And I don't know if they do or they don't, I don't.
Yeah.
and that's I'll tell you, they're gonna tell you it's in the fall. That's when, it's when everything is going on, right
Sure.
now.
Right.
That makes sense, that
There's
makes
a,
sense.
there's a lull when people wanna use them,
Right.
and we're not using them.
That
So
makes
that's,
sense.
that's the
Yeah.
need.
Well,
Right.
that's why I think information brought forward, because I didn't even think about that, you just said it.
Right.
Sports are in the
Makes sense,
fall.
yeah. Yeah, bring it forward.
Yeah, okay.
I've got a quick thing, Naomi. The Lions Club in Goffstown, I believe they're out of Goffstown, the group. They put new barrels in here around the building and flowers last year.
The Rotary Club did.
Oh, the
yes.
Rotary Club, okay. Is there some way that we can connect with them? Because most of the barrels at the stone building now, I mean, I've emptied a couple of them out and taken them off to the dump because they're just falling apart. They're all rotted, and the rest of them are in pretty tough shape. I'm not
And
s-
do you have the contact information, Naomi?
I do, but I don't know if the grant's available this year.
Oh, well, maybe you could forward the
No,
information.
I'm just saying, that they approached us because they had money to give,
Okay.
and, they replaced the barrels and did the flowers, but with the understanding we had to water.
Right.
And I don't know, I mean, I gladly will check on it, but it
Right.
was through the Rotary in Goffstown. the-
Okay.
I was just thinking if you had the contact information, you could
Yeah,
shoot it over
yeah,
to
yeah.
Sherry, and Sherry could call them
Yeah.
up.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanna, I mean, for a long time, I used to do that. I used to take care of it and put the flowers in and stuff, and then,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
it's
then
understandable.
the flowers, I think maybe Debbie Brown ended up doing flowers, I guess.
Yeah, I did that, she did it for a Weare
Couple
too,
years
yeah.
or two.
Yeah,
But the barrels have all started to disintegrate now, and
yeah. Well, they're old, they're getting up there
I've
in
taken
age.
2 to the dump back along that or on East Street, took them, shoveled them out and picked them up, but the rest of them are in about the same shape now. They get, 2 or 3 may get another year, but they're bad.
They're pretty bad, yeah, okay.
So if you can give me the information, Naomi, I'll
Yeah, I
contact
do
her.
try to find her name and number. Not coming to me at the moment.
Like to have it done before Memorial Day, that's all.
They would look nice. Anything else, correspondence, other
So
business?
you all set for the work session?
I think.
I think so, didn't we have it pretty laid out last time, didn't we?
So you have 2 non-publics,
Mhm.
one with an exit interview.
Mhm.
And then I had a email from Park and Rec director that they've lost a supervisor and they've got another supervisor interested, but the board would need to interview her.
Okay.
So they were hoping to do that so that she could be on the roster ready to go for the opening. So that would be a non-public. Then you're going to have, Jason coming in to discuss the 42 cents versus 50 cents for 12 or 14 people.
Yep.
And you have to write the DBW director ad, you've already finalized it. You have to finalize the job description for building inspector and the ad. You're gonna look at the email for 80 and 84 East Shore Drive, trees. Then you've got 2 policy/procedures for 1 contacting legal counsel and 2 unsealing non-public minutes, that's what I have.
Okay.
I stuck driveway there.
Sounds like plenty.
I stuck driveway there, but that meant to go down lower for a
And-
later time.
Thursday, we're meeting at 6:30 for 15 minutes,
With DBW posting, are we gonna
Longer than
discuss compensation?
but 6:30?
Yes,
The ad and compensation?
Well, we have to,
Yeah.
so,
So, yeah.
we kinda sorta have to have a
they
general
kinda have to
feel
go
that-
together, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to know before we,
And compensation.
and Parks and Rec, this new person coming in, can we get them to
I
send,
will try, I'm
send
not
us-
sure.
send
I
us at
haven't seen
least
her
a
application yet.
name or
I
something?
have a name, but.
But some sort of,
I
like,
do.
if we're gonna interview someone
Yeah,
for a
I don't know if
job?
I have her
Special
application.
compensation
I'll
for
try to
what?
get it for you.
Compensation for what?
The DPW director's position.
Whatever,
When we do the posting,
The pay, yeah, the pay, yeah, yeah.
know
yeah.
how much we're paying before we
Right.
ask them to come
Get
in?
you, yeah, that's a good idea.
$20, yeah.
How much do you want?
So, all right, sounds like we got a pretty full ticket for next Monday,
Yeah.
so. And we're meeting Thursday?
6:30.
Yes,
30.
yep, with legal counsel, so. Well, it's late enough. Anybody gonna make the motion?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay then. Second, aye.
Aye,
Aye,
Yeah.
aye,
Just let us
aye,
know.
aye.
Just let us know when you can hit the switch.